And we are live. Hooray. So we are going to be playing some Uncharted Worlds today. And this is it's a Powered by the Apocalypse game I picked up a little while ago, which is pretty cool. Uncharted Worlds, which comes with this nice little supplement called Far Beyond Humanity, which I just picked up as well. And it's a space opera role-playing game. So this is actually my first time running any kind of Powered by the Apocalypse game. I have played in the Veil a few times, a few times actually. I think this is Jason's very first experience ever with the mysterious Powered by the Apocalypse system. And then we have two experts with us. We've got Sam and Eloy, who have played a little bit. Well, Sam's an expert, right, Sam?
No, I'm not an expert, but I run it a couple times, so it's
okay. There you go.
Stuff, yeah.
So where to get going? Like we've got these three guys are on a spaceship. They have a small crew with them, but I'm going to let you guys just introduce your characters, starting with Captain Tiberius.
All right. So I would imagine like you would probably see sort of like a camera pan in, through the outside, through the blackness of space, in through the, the viewport of the cockpit. And you would see this older gentleman. It's hard to really determine his age, and especially at this point in human history, what his age anyway. But he's definitely got, a little salt and pepper in his beard, darker hair, some more wrinkles than he might. And as it sort of pans around and you see just this crap hole of a ship, things are falling down, there's, things sparking or whatever. You see him kind of sitting back in his chair a little bit, looking at this manifest. And as the camera would sort of pan in over, it would be looking down at like a series of contracts, with lots of numbers and columns and everything. And he, you could tell that he is definitely like looking at this thing, intently, furrowed brow and whatever. And he's a major contrast to the ship around him, because while he's sitting in this chair that, like, you would imagine, this old beat up car, and you kind of put duct tape on the seat because it broke, like that's what we're looking at. And here he is sitting in this immaculate pressed black captain's uniform. And I would imagine he just sort of sits back for a minute, and then there's like a spark going off, somewhere in the rest of the ship. And, I kind of look over and I'm like, curse this ship. It's going to be the death of us. And then I would kind of slam my hand down on the comms and I'd be like, is it Vitor or Vitor?
Whatever you want, Captain.
All right.
He answers to either.
I'd be like, hey, Ginger, get up to the brig. We got some sparks here. We need you to fix it.
We would zoom down the corridors of the ship about waist high, and we would come in up behind Vitor at his workspace, tinkering about his space, something in every nook and cranny. His bed space packed with crates of wires and pieces and tools. And we would pan around his workspace, again, every square inch full of some piece of junk as he tinkers on something. And he's erected a hammock to sleep in because he's filled up his bed space with crates of stuff. And he works. And as we pull in, we see and he jumps up, having been ordered by Tiberius, to the front. As he stands, we see he's in an old grimy jumpsuit. His hair is mussed. He's got grease. He's got marks on his face. He is older he is more ruddy than he probably is old. He is short, about 5'3", stern look on his face. He always has a blob of grease on his left shoulder that he can use when he needs it. His fingers are greasy and black. He can pull that grease off when he needs it. Grabs his wrench, he calls the equalizer, straightens up and starts down the same corridor, headed toward the captain.
All righty. And
so I think maybe he passes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have passed it off. Yes, sorry.
That's okay. I think he passes my character Johanno Samenhoff in the ship. He's walking by. Johanno is with dreadlocks and features which are hard to place because he is mixture of ethnicities and cultures, which is what you would see in the outer colonies he hails. A former for the Outer Colonies Alliance. Not on very good terms with them anymore. Finding his fortune here in this ship as bosun, and the military operations when any are needed. Carries a shotgun with him, and he sees Vitor in the corridor and says, "Hurry up, Vitor. Is calling you. Waiting for you. Move it."
Yeah, Captain Warm Blankets needs something, and he won't look as he passes through. As Vitor again, stern, head down, passes up the hall. He'll hear Johanno, but he will not look in that doorway as he continues up. Yes, and he always refers to the captain as something, Captain something else.
And I would imagine too, as you're walking past, my advisor, you guys will, know him. He's my babysitter from my family's company, from Gray Industrial. But his name is Cooper, and Cooper comes out and he sees you, Vitor, kind of walking down the hall, and he would have heard the comms, and he kind of just gives you a wink and a nod. You guys have been friendly, I would imagine, and he's like, "Captain's in one of his moods again."
Yes, I will find out what is going on. Cards in the captain's quarters later.
He's like, "Oh yes, my friend," and he lights up a cigarette, and you would know that just absolutely drives Tiberius crazy, because of course it's getting his quarters to smell like cigarette smoke. And he just kind of ducks back in.
Well, this is a good time. This is a good time right now as Vitor makes his way up there, where the sparks are obviously flying all over the place. You guys have been on a long journey, and as I reread the rules in the book, these ships jumps, they occur outside of solar systems, so there's a lot of times it takes some time to actually get to where you're going. There's some long periods of travel. So you actually just rolled up on you're coming up on Alpha Centauri system, and it took you a week from the jump point to get here. Before that, it took you almost a month to get to the safe jump point to finally, show up there. So you guys have been cramped in the ship for quite some time. So, hey, Tiberius, I need you to make a cramped quarters roll considering Vitor, and what's your overall?
So I get a straight up 10 on the dice.
Right. So a straight up 10 on the dice is you describe to us how the two of you have bonded over the last few weeks.
Oh boy. All right. How we've bonded. Wow. So yeah. I think that what happened was, over the last few weeks, Vitor had been acting like squirrelier than normal, to the point that it worried me, because I figure he probably was eccentric, and I knew that, but this was something else was going on. And so I think maybe at one point, it was getting to the point where he was getting extremely surly and overtly disrespectful, right? And I was the captain. I was like, "No, we can't do this." So I confronted him about it. And I think that maybe what happened was we realized there's something that he's not telling us about his past that's really weighing on his mind. And I think he maybe wouldn't have revealed what it is, but we had this moment where I basically was like, "Are you going to be able to do your job?" And he was like, "Yes, I can do my job, Captain." And it was the first time maybe that he hadn't called me a name. And then I think what happened in that moment was that he realized okay, Captain's a jackass, but he's the captain, and he is looking out for his crew. And that was maybe the first time that I was really I knew it intellectually, but I was like, okay, he's part of my crew. we got to be good here. And so I think at that point we maybe had like an easy peace, but maybe that was our bonding.
Right on, right on. So as Vitor passes Johanno, Vitor, why don't you roll a cramped quarters to see how you and Johanno are getting along in this horrible
5.
Well, let's see what happens there. I don't think it's good. So describe to us what caused the newest hurt feelings or bad blood between the two of you.
Newest hurt feelings for me.
Or bad blood, because clearly something has happened during this month-long voyage.
Bad blood. For me would be that he has the largest portion of the ship with a squad that he ultimately is responsible for that doesn't do much. And they're constantly clogging the toilets with things that I am constantly required to fix. And very often I am up to my elbow in the toilet, and very often I am pulling out of that toilet something that should not have been disposed of in that place. And I have more than once have I had can't say face to face, more like belly button to face conversation with Johanno about keeping his crew from flushing inappropriate materials. And so I'm angry because he could stop it.
That's fantastic. And I suppose at this point Johanna was probably going to follow Vitor up to see what the hell is going on, because you have entered the system. Probably customary to come up.
Might as well, right?
Right, and so you're going to have to make a
wrong with the ship.
You're going to have to make a cramped quarters roll with your relationship with Tiberius. So how the two are you getting along after this long, arduous drive?
That is a 10, actually.
Really? So you're getting along really well. So tell us how you bonded.
I think there's been a baseline disagreement because Johanna comes from the outer colonies and the captain is from the right. He's from the inner worlds. So I think there was some initial hostility, but maybe some initial distrust. And I think over the weeks and months that we've been we've come to respect each other's demeanor and work ethic, I suppose. New respect. This guy may be coming from the wrong side of the universe as I see it, but hey, at least he's very dedicated and he cares for the ship, as do I.
That's very heartwarming. So this is what a month in space has done to you fellas. So you're showing up. You came back from Study Alpha system. You're coming up to Alpha Centauri. And here at the Alpha Centauri, there's a job that's awaiting you. And it's awaiting you to pick up some cargo for some really fast profit. It's outside of the normal jobs that you run from transgalactic colonial or shipping and salvage. So it's technically, I believe, probably not something that's on your manifest, not something you're supposed to be doing. Maybe it's something they overlook. But, Captain, the question is, who is this job for? And how did you get it?
Yeah, so I think that Alpha Centauri is maybe one of these places where it's technically under strong consortium rule. Like it is, like there's a big presence there, but there's a strong underground presence. And I imagine that there is this underworld guy who considers himself a kingpin, but he's really not. And I think he's simply known as the Rabbit. And depending on who you talk to, the White Rabbit, whatever, but he's known as the Rabbit. And I think that I would have been in contact with him because when I was first starting out, when I first sort of left my family's business, I had this ship that I was taking out for salvage to take to a salvage yard. That was like my sort of initiation. And I decided instead I wanted to try to make some profit, show the family, hey, I can be a ship captain. And it didn't go well. And so I ended up stranded here, and I met this guy. And so I think I've contacted him, and he's got some goods that he said, no questions asked, deliver them into the core world. Don't get caught, and there will be some credits in it for you.
Interesting. That's cool. Except we're going to say it's not to the core world, but we'll get back to that.
Okay. Yep.
There's some interesting. But Johanno, speaking of this cargo, the captain has shared with you a little bit of information about this, and so you've found out what the cargo actually is. So what has you mostly the most concerned about this clearly risky cargo? What do you know about it that's getting you nervous?
About this cargo? This cargo is illegal, of course. So the biggest concern would be getting pulled over by any customs officials, armed forces belonging to the inner worlds. Do I know what's in the crates? Should I tell you what's in the crates, or?
I don't know. You tell me. Let's play this thing like we're supposed to.
I think it's a shipment of arms. We're carrying weapons to whoever's running it at Worlds. Maybe it's to the EKA, the Outer Colonies Alliance. So, in some serious trouble if we're caught taking this highly illegal cargo.
So illegal weapons. All right, right on. And Vitor, finally, we're not sure whether you know about the cargo. That's up to you. But you know, based on what the captain has told you, that you're going to bring the cargo to a terraforming colony 67J92F. These are names like you liked. All right. Why does that get you so nervous?
Well, any place we stop where there is a Elsor Mech Tech union shop with a foreman, I'm incredibly nervous. I am in debt and on the run from the Elsor Mech Tech. They are my union, my mechanics union. And so I have something incredibly valuable to them that I have not shared with anyone. That is part of Elsor's big secret. And I happen to know that, of course, and I happen to have that information. So my concern is not cargo, not illegal cargo. It is the fact that I will fall into the hands of Elsor.
Now, just because they have a whole big setup over on that terraforming colony, that shouldn't be.
They are
alarming,
everywhere.
Right?
They are everywhere. They stretch everywhere. There's a union shop. If there's a personal communication device that must be fixed, we do it. If there's a vehicle that must be fixed, we do it. If there is an engine that must be fixed, we do it. If there is communications devices to be fixed, we do it. We are the Mech Tech faction. They're everywhere.
Right on. So everybody's brooding, except for the captain, who's probably thinking about a fast buck at this point. So you're waiting to get the okay to actually have the descent to land on the world, land in the spaceport that you've got right. That's the rabbit indicated that you should go to meet him. And just as you're kind of in that holding pattern, in geosynchronous orb over the planet, several ships just jump right into orbit, which nobody ever does. That's insane. And you look over and you can see already the markings, and these are ships from the Lingua Hydrae syndicate.
And I think I would probably be the first one to notice that, because at this point, as Vitor would have come in, I probably would have heard him, and I would have started to just point over to the sparks. Not that would have even been necessary, because he probably would have immediately noticed it. But as I'm midpoint, I stop as I see the markings on these ships. And then I would immediately wheel the chair around. And if Johanno is right there, I would kind of look to him, and I think you would see genuine fear in my eyes, which most of the time it's just this dull sort of melancholy, but there's this fear. And I'm like, I'm like, listen, you better get the boys locked and loaded. We may have some trouble here. That's lingua hydrae out there.
As long as it's not Elsor. Who's lingua hydrae?
And I think at that, I would just sort of look at at Vitor, and I would be like, hey, listen, check the jump drive. Make sure that we know that it's in good shape. We may have to jump out of here quick. All right?
Aye, aye.
That's a lot of ships, Capitano. I'll get the crew ready.
Let's hope we don't need them.
So as you kind of like watch the ships for a while, you realize they're really not doing anything. Eventually you get your okay to land. And they are just still maintaining some kind of orbit.
Okay. And I think as that's happening, like I would take this like handkerchief, this embroidered handkerchief, like really nice silk, and just like wipe it across my brow, put it back in, and then I'd put my hands like on the control sticks. And I mean, the one thing I can still do is pilot, so they're steady as a rock, and I just start leading us down real slow, giving the docking codes or whatever we need to pull into hopefully the spaceport. But like, this is easy, and honestly the ship probably has like an autopilot thing, so more I have my hands on the stick in case something's going wrong, because these guys are just making me super nervous.
Right. So you're able to cruise in with no trouble. It's very routine. This is a very nicely terraformed rock that was rotating around one of these stars in the Alpha Centauri system, or I think it's a binary or whatever it is. It's one of them damn stars. It's got more than one. Really beautifully terraformed. It is a place that at one time was kind of like just absolute luxury. In fact, lots of it still is. But it's been around just long enough to develop like the slums, the seedy or undersized, the places like the guy like the rabbit could grab some power. But it's still as you fly over, there's still some really gorgeous vistas and some incredible looking cities. As you get closer to your port, it starts to look a little less incredible, a little bit more dingy, a little bit more nasty, but still, an engineering marvel. And you're able to land. You have the usual crew of people that actually start to refuel the ship, get everything ready, make sure your papers are in order, that sort of thing. But where are you supposed to meet the rabbit?
So I think the rabbit is pretty full of himself. And so he's got a compound. And that's where he always does business. That's where he always meets people. And he thinks it's really nice. And it's kind of not, at least not to my standards. And so, I would imagine like, maybe halfway across the city or whatever, he's got what would be considered an okay compound that we would have to go to. And it kind of sucks because I'm not going to be in a position to necessarily... Actually, I think I would try to spring for a luxury vehicle to bring us there, a limo or something.
Sure, why not? You've got some cred, right? You can spend your cred frivolously on that rather than things like food and supplies for the ship. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I would. I think, traveling in style is what I do. And I think that like, as I'm sort of making those arrangements, Cooper would have shown up at this point and he would be like, sir, I don't think that that's a wise idea, and blah, 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 starts droning on about, like why this is, I shouldn't be spending company money or his family money to do this. And I'm just kind of like, whatever. And I tell him, stay on the ship. We're going to be fine. And I consider for a minute whether or not I want to bring Johano and Vitor with me, because I think maybe initially the deal was just with me, but thinking back on everything, I think it's probably best to bring them and to include them in the deal. And so I would turn to them and I would say, gentlemen, I think it's time to go do some business. But this guy is, we'll put it this way. And I look right to Johanno and I say, he knows how to push the right buttons. So don't get too trigger happy, okay? We need this guy.
If we're bringing back the crates, then perhaps we should bring crew to help with transport. Maybe procure a larger vehicle, so, assuming we get this deal. What do you think?
I say, I'm sure arrangements can be made. I mean, he wants us to take this cargo, so I'm sure he can spring for that. But and I look to Vitor and I sorry, Jason, what was the name of your wrench again?
The Equalizer.
Okay. I say the rabbit will definitely try to pull a fast one, and I think it may be maybe good to have an equalizer on our side.
Yeah, and Vitor steps between these two, who are clearly one is almost a foot taller than him, and the other one is probably and he looks up. Yes, and I hear Rabbit has great facilities.
And like I would probably snort, like trying to not to laugh, and he's like, "Yeah, let's go." Gotcha.
All righty. So at this point, I'm not sure how to proceed with this, but so what I'm going to have you do is everybody roll 2d6. Tell me the number.
5.
7.
7 for me.
Okay, there you go. Well, that settles that. All righty. Well, I'm just seeing who got the low. All right. So, your trip to Transgalactic, I mean, to the Rabbits, rather, seems to be going relatively uneventfully. Your car is,
I want to make sure.
Nice.
I want to make sure as I climb into the car that I get my greasy hands all over the windows and all over the seats.
Oh, that's gonna cost. That's gonna leave a mark. That's gonna cost.
Yeah, and I would think that I would almost start hyperventilating at this, and I would chastise him. I would be like, Vitor, what are you doing? No, this is a nice thing. You can't stop touching it. And then I would reach into my pocket for my handkerchief, and I would sort of look at the window and almost put it up to it. And then I just kind of look at it, I just toss it to Vitor and say, look, you need this more than I do. And I think that might resonate, that this was something that is nice and was sort of pretty, and I did not want to give this up. But damn, come on,
Right on.
I think at this point,
good.
At this point, Johanna interjects with something like, "Ingeniero, watch your hands. So much time cleaning the toilets. Your hands sure are still dirty."
You would just hear this.
And Vitor smells his hands. It's just grease. It's good for you. Keeps you lubricated.
Well, during this deep philosophical conversation, you're able to go through the city, which is, once you get out of some of the areas right around the spaceport, really nice. You pass all kinds of, just once again, like engineering marvels. There's some, great art that you pass. It is definitely a thriving metropolitan city. And then you take some more turns. And then you start to get to an area that looks a little bit more seedy, a little bit more rundown. And you finally you come upon what can be called, I guess, a compound, for lack of a better word. And there are several guards, there's several stern-looking men, definitely hired muscle. A couple guys that look like they've had some kind of augmentations, and you come to what can be called, I guess, like a villa within the compound, and you realize you've entered the domain of the Rabbit.
Nice place. I could get used to this kind of place.
And I would kind of look at him and I would say, well, if we actually make the credits that the rabbit's promising us you may very well get to be in a luxurious place like this. And you can tell like the whole time, like I'm twitching, I like visibly nervous. But I was like, that's the goal anyway. Let's just get some business done and hopefully make some credits.
As Vitor steps out of our luxurious car, he will straighten his tool belt, make sure the equalizer is attached where he can grab it, and then kind of straighten up his nasty old, never been laundered jumpsuit. Check his grease, make sure he's got some just in case.
Awesome. So at that point, coming out of the villa is this big, portly, corpulent man. And if you were ever like to draw a picture of what you think a rabbit might look like, he's the farthest from it. But dressed entirely in white, in a crisp white linen suit, complete with a little white carnation, flanked by some, very stern and scary-looking men, complete with bandoliers and heavy weaponry. He's like, Tiberius! And this voice, which completely does not match the body, comes out of him. Tiberius, it's good to see you. And you can start to see why he gets the name of Rabbit, because his nose is just kind of, yeah. Good to see you. Come inside. We'll talk business.
And I sort of look at him, and I'm just like, yeah, good to see you too, Rabbit.
Oh, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Oh, I'm sure. These are my companions. I hope it's all right. They come with me?
Yeah, they come with you. Hey, those are nice dreads, buddy. And he reaches out and touches one of Johanna's. Oh, that must take a long time to grow. A long time to grow. And he's squinting at you. He's like, you're not sure if he's like just can't see or what it is. And he just, you're not sure. They might have called him the mole, except he's way too big to be a mole.
I think Johanna is wearing at least his sidearm. So I wonder what the protocol is here.
I think maybe what would happen is, like, as that's happening, I think I would probably put my arm on the rabbit's hand and actually forcibly push it away, which would piss him off a little bit. But then I would be like, let me give you some advice. Don't touch him. Don't touch his hair. He's, and then I kind of lean in and I'm like, we call him the Mad Dog. You don't want to find out why.
The Mad Dog. Oh, really?
No, don't. I was like, don't say it out loud. Yeah.
And he's just like, that's pretty funny. And so it's okay if you guys try anything. These guys would like kill you in like 5 seconds. It's all right. Come on in. Let's get a drink. And he turns around, just rolls of fat as this. You're wondering like how much linen it took to make that suit. And
Vitor thinks to himself, I don't want to see his toilet.
Oof.
So he walks you into like the living room or whatever. You never actually get to stop anywhere inside the house. You see all these various objects of art, these little statuettes, etc. It's just beautiful inside. Just the house does not belong in this neighborhood, in this area. And he finally leads you out to like what probably like call like a garage or warehouse, and then in there's just tons and tons of crates.
And I'm looking around a little bit, and I'm like, I thought you said we were getting a drink.
Oh yeah. And Marty, get him something. So one of these several bodyguards there, goes up and grabs like a bottle of bourbon from one of the shelves on the wall, comes up with a bunch of glasses, pours the glasses like way too much bourbon into each glass. Gentlemen.
And is this nice bourbon, or is it sort of like middle, like it would probably be nice for this area, but overall it's just kind of okay?
Oh no, this is nice bourbon. This is like,
okay. All right. Then in that case, I would definitely like just suave as hell, just like, knock it back. Like, that's good.
Right. And the rabbit's falling through. Like, he's draining his glass. So he just, he's drinking quite a bit of bourbon at this point. So let's talk business here. Let's talk about how much of this you can transport for me to this colony.
I say, well, that's the real trick, isn't it? I mean, from my understanding, you said no questions asked, and I assume this is rather discreet cargo.
Yeah, we want to avoid any kind of attention being brought to it. Yeah, most of the stuff isn't exactly legal.
And I would kind of hold up my glass, and I would be like, "Of course," which I suspect had a little something to do with the price. We can take a bit, but I gotta say, we get caught with too much. Well, I don't even think we'll make it to the inside of a brig. So I think that's going to cost you extra. I mean, listen, I don't reckon I want to get shot down by a Solarian Consortium firing squad here. So I'm thinking an extra 15%.
I think it's time.
I think it is. Want me to roll influence?
We're going to call this. Yeah, we're going to use the acquisition move, I guess, because for lack of anything else, it really does it because we're not really trading cargo. But yeah, we'll call it influence because you're really looking to see how the deal goes.
All righty. Oh, so I rolled a 1 and a 2, so I get a 5 total.
That's awesome. So, seeing as we're kind of bastardizing the acquisition move, the deal goes through with cost, a task, or lesser assets than what you asked for. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. No, the deal will go in if you call a favor.
Yeah.
So, seeing as we're learning to play this game, I figured I'd say that. So,
yeah,
it's 15%. It doesn't sound right at all. And like originally when we talked, you were to take all this stuff, and he's pointing like at pretty much what is going to take up almost all your cargo hold.
Right. And I was like, and I say, yeah, that's until I saw how much of it. You weren't very specific on the amount. I get caught with that much, forget it. Listen, as soon as this cargo gets loaded on the ship, somebody's going to hear about it. This place, it's got more rats than, and I realize like the irony of, saying rat and he's a rabbit and whatever. And I say, hold on a second. I think we can make this work. And I will call in a favor. I will get on my comm, and I'll kind of back up a little bit, get under my breath, and be like, Cooper, listen, I need you to call my sister. I need you to tell her that I need her people to let this fool named the Rabbit down here know that we're good, we're insured. If any of this cargo goes missing, he'll be made whole. All right.
Your sister hates you.
I know she hates me, but there's a potential business opportunity. Listen, let her know. Let her know I'm scheduled to make a sizable sum here, and well, I figure I owe the family. I might as well start paying off that debt.
So Coop makes a call. You wait around. You have some more to drink. You guys have a chance to make some small talk. You can obviously Johanno can see like some of the weapons. Some of these weapons are just illegal because of how much collateral damage they cause. Like these are some nasty weapons. Some of them have been outlawed because the deaths they cause are too painful. It's just the horrors of war type weapons. These are some nasty weapons that he's saying to a terraforming colony. Out like on the outer, the outskirts of where people are colonized. Really, really puzzling. So your phone, your smartphone rings, and it's Coop.
Hey Coop, what's up?
Well, I got a hold of your sister. She was not in a good mood. The good news is that she can help you out. The bad news is she wants 50%.
50%.
But you do owe them quite a bit, sir.
I know. All right. I don't have much of a choice here.
No,
That's
you sure
fine.
don't, sir.
Yeah. Tell her that's fine. Just make the deal.
Yeah. Okay. And so Coop, Coop greases whatever wheels he needs to grease. And so this deal finally goes through. You're able to give the rabbit what he wants.
Yep. And I'm a little bit annoyed because not only am I not getting 15% on the top, but I've made a deal that I have no intention of telling the other two about. That's going to significantly reduce our take. But I will kind of go over to Johanno as this whole thing is happening, and I'll look to him and I'll say, what do you make of this? Sending these type of weapons to a terraforming colony? I mean, this has got EKA written all over it.
These deals, he's using a crew of people he doesn't know. Why get us involved in the deal?
I guess
This type of deal.
Oh, go ahead.
This type of deal, perhaps better not ask too many questions.
I agree, but one question I have for you: if we do end up delivering this cargo, are we gonna make it out of there with some credits, or is the EKA gonna decide to take what's rightfully theirs, and anybody that gets in the way, well, too bad.
That will depend on who this Kuniklo of yours has contacted, who he has waiting there in this J92 planet. It's in his best interest not to come through, but one never knows what leaks might be on either side of this deal. It's risky, but it's a good payoff.
It is a good payoff. Listen, and like I'd probably be stammering a little bit, and the words would just be like ripped out of me. You got any buddies in the EK you can maybe call, just see if we can get any intel on this? I don't want to go in there blind against these rebels if we don't have to.
It's always risky contacting the EKA, but perhaps that's something we could do for what we're walking into. Hopefully, well, we'll have to be careful, because if we don't play our cards right, KA might wind up alerting them planning to do. So it's a risk either way, Capitano.
I say, yeah, maybe. I don't know. The problem is, I mean, Elsor, we send anything, their Ansibles will pick it up. Listen, my friend, and I think like you would probably know at this point, like I've never said my friend before, and I would clasp your arm in kind of like a gesture of gratitude, and I would say, if it comes down to it, I'll have you make a call, but I think you're right. For now, let's play it cautious.
Yes, yeah, Capitano. Yes, yeah.
All right, and then I think I would back up and wait for the rabbit to come back, and I'd be like almost unconsciously reaching for my handkerchief in my pocket to wipe my brow again, and then I realize it's not there, and I would sort of look at my sleeve for just a minute and think, and then just put it down because I can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah, you're all right there, Tybe. You're sweating a little bit.
It's like, Yeah.
And he pulls out this linen handkerchief out of his thing. But he's clearly used this on himself more than once. Yeah, you can use mine. You wipe that up. It's just, no need to have all that on you there. Come on, you go ahead. Go ahead. It's all right.
And I think like maybe knowing the protocol here and knowing who this guy is, I have to take it. And I do. And I sort of like, I'm like holding it, like as little surface area as possible and kind of, trying to fold it up into this like tiny little spot, like the cleanest part I could see. And then I start.
And the closer it gets to your face, the more pungent the smell is. And, while it looks great, he may not have you. In the meantime, at that point, the rabbit looks up and says, hey, what the heck is that guy with the wrench doing? What is he doing?
Viator is on his third cup he's been helping himself to brandy. And he's been looking around at this. To him, this is luxurious. And he's eyeballing, computer systems in the corner, going over in his head what could possibly be in there. He's been trained to not only fix things, but to acquire information. So he can't help but always size up where there's the computer terminals, where there may be phone services or communication services. And he also can't help himself, now that he's a little bit inebriated, to ask the very rotund Rabbit, and how the hell did you get the name Rabbit?
And you would hear this audible gasp from me.
And a couple guys actually put their hands on their guns. Had to get the name Rabbit.
There's no need for guns. It's clear you might have one day been a rabbit. You're not a rabbit any longer.
No, I'm not a rabbit any longer. I'm a freaking tiger, and I'll tear you apart. I got called. I hate that name, but it's the name that stuck with me. I was called a rabbit because one time a guy pulled a gun on me. There was a fight. There was a bunch of us, and I ran. I ran like a frightened rabbit. And you know something, little man?
What?
And you see the smell of alcohol just comes over his face. Apparently, it was more pungent than the smell of his own handkerchief.
What?
Oh, he looks. Forget it. I'm not gonna. You're not worth it. You're not worth it.
Oh, I thought maybe because you broke a record eating rabbits.
Oh.
Johanno claps a hand on Vitor's shoulder and says, Ingeniero, perhaps you will let the Capitano do the talking. Yeah, Chune?
Yeah, easy, big fella. Easy. Yeah, I'll just help myself to some more of this.
Tiberius, I tell you what, I tell you what, you guys can go and never bring this man back in my presence again, or I'll kill you both.
Like, all right, sir. Yeah, no problem. So, listen, one thing though.
That's fine, Tiger. I'm not coming back.
Vitor, come on, man. Let's go. Listen, I got some whiskey back on the ship, much better than that. Let's go. And but then I kind of would turn back to the rabbit and be like, hey, listen, you got some movers can help move this cargo.
Oh, yeah, we're going to bring it over there. We're going to relabel it. It'll be fine.
All right, excellent. And then I'm like, then we'll be on our way. Pleasure doing business with you.
Right on. Anything you guys plan to do on your way back there?
I think that I would pull a really sort of ornate like silver flask out of the inside pocket of this like perfectly tailored suit and like kind of twist the top off and take like a pretty big shot and then and I would kind of look over to Vitor for a minute and sort of grudgingly just hold it out to him.
Vitor, take it. And, 48 years on the 6-2, I was hoping to see all of this wonders of the galaxy. And he'll take a shot of it and hand it back. This is why I joined your ship.
And I think as he hands it back, like it's sort of...
It's smudged with grease and muck. Yeah, no doubt.
And I think maybe like it splashes a little bit on my hand and I'm just like, ugh. And then I would look to Johanno and I would kind of hold it up to him, you know, like cocking my eyebrow a little bit, like, you want some?
I think Johanna will just go like, he's looking around. He's a bit nervous with this whole situation.
Yeah. And then I would take another swig and then like have this nasty look on my face, because not because of the burn of the alcohol anymore, but you know, the taste that comes with it after having been in Vitor's mouth. And I think I kind of look to them and, letting my guard down a little bit, would say, I worry if I might have made a mistake here, gentlemen, but if this goes sideways, well, it's been a pleasure.
That touching moment is punctuated by the back window being shut out.
Oh.
And you look in the rear view of whatever whatever we're going to call a car, right, or the version of the car, and you can see there's a vehicle behind you. There are at least two gunmen like hanging outside of little like tourists, or like just like it's like the doors actually come off, so they're not leaning out the windows. They're just kind of they're shooting at you. Somebody's driving this vehicle very fast in your general direction. These men do.
Do we have like a driver of the limo, or is this sort of like an automated thing? Like, how do you?
Oh, that's you.
It? Oh, okay, all right.
Buddy.
So, Jesus,
you rented it, man.
Then
your name's on the leasing thing. The grease stain is, forget the grease stain. You got the back windows missing. There's bullet holes in this thing already.
I think that in that case,
if just slides down into the back seat with the whiskey flask and kills a couple more shots.
And I think perhaps, and Aloy, let me know if this is good with you, but I think maybe Johanna is actually driving, because the captain probably wouldn't deign to drive himself to a meeting, and two, I probably wouldn't have been drinking if I was driving. Is that all right?
Sure, why not?
And,
Let's go with that.
Just to complicate matters further, the guy who's probably most likely to be able to shoot good has to drive. So I think as the glass, whatever, and Vitor like slides down probably pretty easily because he's so greasy. I think for a minute I just like sort of duck down, and I'm like, Johanno, buddy, get us out of here.
Keep your heads down. And he steps on the gas and tries to wheel around and try to see if I can lose these guys.
Right on. I think at this point you're probably gonna do they're gonna call it space adversity plus metal, I believe, for driving. Or
Sure.
Are we gonna call that? Are we gonna call it athletics? I forget which driving is.
No, yeah, I would think that would be metal, because that's probably, unless he's got physique, would be more like strength based.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we'll call it metal.
Makes sense.
Right
here we go. That's a 10, actually.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you. Well, tell me how you lose these bastards, or whatever you do.
Yeah, that's what we do. I think Johanna steps on the gas and starts trying to move out of this town, which looks shabby and run down. They'll be discouraged in higher what's the word I'm looking for, like
a wealthier
areas
area,
which would be under surveillance by law enforcement, right? So he's swerving, trying to reach the highway that leads to the and just swerving and going around, so trying to discourage them from following.
That doesn't quite do it yet. They're still shooting. They're shooting. They're even actually shooting innocent pedestrians. You watch them knock somebody over with the vehicle. So you're still going to lose them. But what do you do next?
I think I hand my gun to Tiberius, and I say, you can knock out their tires, because I'm driving. So
Nice. And then I think probably what would happen is like I kind of grab it, and this is a much bigger gun than I'm used to. And I would turn around, and like I've had some practice with shooting, but like I'm not the shooting guy, right? And so I would turn around, and I think maybe what would happen is like just at that moment as I'm turning around and aiming the gun, Vitor might have like popped his head up just to kind of see what's going on, and then as he's like whoa, and ducks back down, right? And then I like take a shot at them. And I imagine I don't hit their tires at all, but like I'm not necessarily.
No, you sure don't. You sure don't.
It's like,
not with that narration, you don't. You blow out a street light.
Yeah.
And Viator's just sliding around in the back seat with every turn, keeping, trying not to spill any of the whiskey.
Nice.
Pops his head up a few times.
Yeah, and then I would say, Johanno, this isn't working. You got to get us out of here, man.
And they're still coming after you. What is the final thing you do that loses them?
Think the switch like says here, grab the wheel. Sort of tries to draw shotgun and try to pass off the wheel and the controls to
Oh wow.
Right on.
All right, then I think maybe what would happen is like I would grab the wheel, but and like I would manage to kind of keep it relatively okay because I've got some level of competence in like driving things, but like I think maybe what happens is he's trying to line up the shot and he can't, and I turn it just right so that he's got at least a clear shot.
And I open up the sunroof, right?
Yes.
And sort of like.
And meanwhile, you feel Viator pop his head, squirm up beside you, looking around outside the sunroof. Totally oblivious. Right. Totally oblivious to what's going on.
The tires of the car pop. The nosedive. Something in the front like catches it, flips end over end. Knocking several other people out. I mean, the collateral damage is just
it's large.
Large, yeah. So hopefully, if you're smart, you punch it. try.
Yeah.
Yeah. We take the opportunity there once they like off the.
Yeah. I think maybe what would happen is like as Johanno kind of got up into the thing, I would have slid over into the driver's seat, and so now like I'm driving back, and I think as Johanno maybe is coming back down into the passenger seat, I would be like, listen, call your boys. I think it's time for those, their special skills. Get them ready.
Yes, yeah, Capitano. So he gets on his phone and calls the ship and has the squad. Incoming hostiles. Everybody suit up, and we're coming in fast. But there might be more on our trail.
All right. Well, you guys are able to skate into the spaceport quite dramatically. Some people gasped or whatnot. The people as you go by, the people from the rental company notice the car, notice the plate number, notice it's theirs. So your phone immediately starts to ring, Tiberius, at that point.
And I would absolutely ignore it.
All right. And you call the ship. The Johanno's guys are like ready. Some of them are outside the ship already, obviously armed. And nothing happens. You're there for quite some time. Some guys from the rental company actually start to walk towards the ship, and then see all the guys bristling with weapons, and instead you get this text. And and you find out like whatever account you have on file has just had like a tremendous sum of money, like equal to maybe the price of a car, withdrawn from it.
Yeah, for sure.
But nobody's ever actually walked up to you and everything. So this is not going particularly well. But couple hours after that, like some vans start to show up, and you realize these are like the rabbit's men, and they've got these crates, and it's they're marked things like baby food and medical supplies, and it just they've been the material has been disguised. Some of the things they put on it, like toys, are just like the most outlandish. Like they weren't very creative in this disguising the contents in terms of coming up with some more plausible things that you might be carrying. Turnips is on one of the crates, so pretty amateurish, but this might make you a little concerned. But they're loading up. There's no mention from them of anything that happened. So you start to get the impression this was not the rabbit's men that did any of this. However, remember when you guys all had to roll those 2d6 and tell me what you got? Well, yeah, the captain got the lowest at that point. So as you're getting loaded up, another vehicle shows up. A couple guys come out, and they are in the uniforms of the Transgalactic Shipping and Salvage. And you notice one of these guys is an auditor. And he's coming up to your ship, and it's just and you realize he's just a routine inspector. His name, it's like, I'm Frederick, Frederick Hansen, and he says, I'm looking at my scheduled manifest here, and I can't help but notice that we don't have you scheduled for a pickup.
And I think the bourbon, dulling my brain a little bit, but also helping to dull the panic. I walk up to him and I say, "Oh, Mr. Hansen, I'm sure there's a mistake. I mean, you know how it is. The manifests get messed up all the time. Listen, why don't we do this? You go back, you call the office, you let them know what's up. I'm sure they'll get it all straightened out for you."
Let me do some kind of face adversity here.
All right.
Call
Yeah.
your,
I'm wondering.
Now, wait, could I step in and aid him? Is this?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Is this an electronic manifest?
Yes, it is.
That I could interface with.
You could. You can actually interface through this, like through the actual ship's
Okay. So my goal would be to support him in this, and my goal would be to get that away. Or I'll wait and see what your role is. I just wanted to be in support. What is that called? It has a term here, but
it's get involved. However, I'm pretty sure that you have to, if I understand this correctly, you have to commit to doing that prior to.
I am committing to. Yeah.
Okay. That's the way I read the rules. It doesn't wait for the failure or success. You commit right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Would Vitor kind of give me like a signal or anything?
Well, I would just walk up and grab the manifest.
Depends on how drunk he is, I suppose.
Yeah.
I would grab the manifest and look and say, "Let me look at this," and I dial it up. And meanwhile, with the chip in my head, I would hijack this thing and lock it down.
Okay,
right.
so.
But I don't know if I'm. The problem here is I don't know if I actually do that or if he does it, and I would just be the.
Both roll right now. Tell me what the results are.
Yeah,
let's see what happens.
Roll. Am I rolling influence?
Yeah, I roll influence. Yeah.
Oh, it's still a 6.
And I have expertise with hijack.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So go ahead. Yeah, use so expertise. Go ahead.
I got 8, counting my +2 expertise.
All righty. So let's see what this will let you do.
Increase the level by 1 step, so that would bump us up to a 7.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But I think there's a cost involved for sort of doubly, right? Because he would get a cost, and I would too, because it's a 7 through 9, maybe. Ooh.
Yeah. So okay, what ends up happening at this point is you're talking to him, and Vitor is able to get the manifest to somehow read that that's an acceptable shipment, that it was a scheduled shipment. Oh, right. This seems to be kind of wrong here. It looks like we do have some kind of. Well, this wasn't on here before. I'll have to check on this. Huh. I'll tell you. Well, let's just take a look at some of this material here just to verify. And he's looking like really confused.
Yeah.
And he sent his report back. Everything's fine. He goes, I just, but let me just make an inspection too. And so you realize at this point what he's done is it's kind of like getting stopped by a cop.
Yep.
He's radioed that everything's okay, but then he's got that Columbo moment. Just one more thing. So he's walking in the ship. So you realize here's the problem. He opens any one of these crates, and the jig is up.
Yep.
But should he not open one of those crates, or should after he opens one of those crates, something might happen, and he can't radio back to headquarters? Things are okay.
That's what the equalizer's for.
So he's going to the cargo hold. He's radioed him. He's going to the cargo hold, and he starts opening one of the crates, and you can hear him gasp, like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. Viator would
no.
like to stun him with his wrench. The drunk. I'm going to stumble in and kind of smack him on the back of the head with it.
Oh, go ahead.
If I can.
Give me a physique roll, I guess we're going to call this. We're going to call this launching assault, right? Or
yeah, right.
It's probably face adversity unless the guy can sort of fight back. Maybe. I don't know. What do you think?
Okay, yeah, call it face adversity. That doesn't really matter to me, you know.
And my wrench
No,
has the stun upgrade, whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
Right. And what were you saying, Ale?
that's a worthy distinction. I mean, it's how the maneuver is codified,
Yeah.
right? Because if he's not fighting back, then it's slightly different.
Right, exactly. You know what? Well, I'm gonna call this a launch assault.
I think I'm going to help him.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna call this a
I'm
launch
going to
assault.
help him because if I see him just like smacking the guy with a wrench, I'm going to go back him up. So I'm gonna if I need to smack the guy too, I will.
All right, so go ahead, give me a roll too. Give me.
So I imagine as I'm swinging this thing inebriated, that probably Johanna would grab my arm and finish it for me. Grab my arm and actually help bash me there. What am I using? Zeke?
Yeah.
So 6 + 1, 7.
Holy mackerel!
And boxcars for wow for Johanna.
Yeah.
Yes,
so tell me exactly what happened to this poor guy.
Well, as I come up, I'm trying to hit him in the back of the head, thinking that all I got to do is hit him right in the right spot, and he'll slump over. In my head, I'm thinking, and then I'll just flip him into the box and shut the crate, and we'll pack it on the ship. Unfortunately, stumbling along, I come up and I kind of hit him in the back clumsily, and then I look at him as if he should have done everything I imagined he would do, which was slump over unconscious, and he didn't.
So he grunts, and then what happens? As he's about
And I
to
think
run?
at this point,
Well, when he runs, I
Maybe
basically look and say that'll
he
do.
grunts. He grunts. He's like,
Oh, grunts.
And then Johanna with a big giant 12. What happens next?
I think I this point, and I see what's going on, and I Vider's standing there with a wrench in his hand. I think I just grab it from him and finish the job. Right, I take it from him and smack him on the head.
Right.
Oh, he falls back into the crate.
He falls back into the crate, and was not stunned. So we have one very dead inspector in the crate, because apparently
Johanna, what have you done?
He's dead?
I'll start picking his legs up and moving him into the crate.
I'm like, oh my God.
Give me my wrench, Johanna. You don't know your own strength.
And I think at this point, like, I would be like sort of panicking a little bit, saying like, Johanna, is he really dead?
Like, it's a dangerous job, Capitano. We need to go.
You
more
killed-
people get hurt.
You killed a TGS inspector? What? God, oh my. And then I'm like, I think at this point, like I would be we would be in the ship at this point kind of. And I think I would yell, Dr. Wheeler. Is it Edison Wheeler? Is that right?
Yeah.
I'd be like, Dr. Wheeler, get out of here.
And so this guy slumps, or is coming out of the sick bay. He has this permanent state of looking really, really pissed off, like all the time.
Yeah.
He's just kind of you can't even imagine this guy's actually a doctor. It really just doesn't, if you put two and two together, it really just doesn't seem that way. But he's just always distracted. You don't know what kind of experiments he's running in that damn sick bay of his. There's always some kind of chemicals bursting and whatnot. And he sort of stumbles out, what? And he's stumbling around, not quite as gone as Vitor, but you don't smell any alcohol on him. But you're never quite sure what freaking chemicals he's whipped up in there. And you're never quite sure why there's not enough painkillers on the ship. But anyhow. What is it?
Like, is there anything? This guy's dead. Is there anything you can do to make it look like he died of, like a heart attack or something? Something else from, instead of getting hit in the head. And then I kind of would imagine maybe part of his skull is broken a little bit. And so I would sort of trail off as I'm saying that, but I kind of look to him like, you got any magic you can work here?
He looks down at the corpse. He looks back up at you. Looks back down at the corpse. I was like, oh. No. What the hell did you hit him with?
I'd be like,
Johano hit him.
Talk to
a heart attack.
The ginger and the Reb. Listen, that's fine.
You want to know how? I'll tell you what. You want to know how? I'll tell you what. I'll make it look like he wasn't hit in the head. You ready? He takes out this freaking Bowie-looking knife, goes dunk, and cuts the guy's head off. The guy's head flunks off the crate. He goes, yeah. Now we'll get rid of the head, and it won't look like you've been hit in the head. How about that? Decapitated, freak accident. What do you think?
And I think I'm just standing there shocked, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
You want to do an autopsy, determine cause of death?
No, I think we're good. And thanks for your help. You go back to do whatever you were doing.
What are you gonna do with the body?
Don't you worry about it. We got this. Oh, we don't need your help anymore, Doc. Thanks.
It's ridiculous.
Capitana, we really should go.
Is the cargo loaded yet, or is it still in the process of being?
Cargo's loaded. It was loaded because this guy was, you were taking a while talking to this guy. Meantime, this guy's tablet is going like Frederick, and he's obviously getting a call back from the boys at the shipping and salvage.
Yeah. I'd be like, I'll pick up the tablet, I'll throw it over to Vitor and be like, do something about this, you idiot. And then I look at Johano and I'm like, and you do something about this, the body. And I'll start running to the cockpit. Like, we got to get out of here.
I look at Johano. Let's just put them both in the crate and let's get out of here. And I throw the beeping device into the crate and pull the crate shut over it.
That's why the captain has to supervise.
Yeah. And then I walk over to the intercom. We're good to go, Cap.
Oh God. Yeah.
Give orders for the rest of the soldiers to secure the ship and get ready to make way. And I'll say, you got to take care of that tablet. I don't know. Disable it or make it look like it's been stolen or something. Gotta get rid of all the evidence.
And around this time, several vehicles start barreling through the spaceport. You realize there are gunmen showing up.
And I'm pushing this button now, beeping the captain. Cap, you're gonna want to get out of here, Cap. And I keep mashing the intercom, telling him to lift off.
Oh yeah, and like I don't need any, any more incentive. I'm trying to like do the startup procedure as fast as is possible to do it, and I will try to gun it out of there if I can.
Yeah, you're all of a sudden getting frantic calls on your comm from the spaceport personnel saying you were not cleared for takeoff. There's, you were not out of the hangar yet. Um, you were to cease startup procedures immediately because I mean clearly what you're doing right now is just like there's a whole sequence of things like getting other things out of the way.
Yeah, and I think what I would say to that is understand this is irregular procedure. We need clearance to get out of here immediately. We have a coolant link in our
Negative. Clearance denied. Negative. Cease all startup activities. We will send personnel your way.
No, it's too dangerous, and I'm just gonna keep trying to gun it as much as I can. I don't want to put any of your men in danger. We got to get out of here. We could blow up at any minute.
Yeah, and which is a really real possibility because bullets are starting to hit the ship.
Yeah, so if I can, I'm taking off.
Okay, yeah, I don't see there's any reason you can't take off.
All right,
at this point. So I mean the hail of gunfire. I mean, it's probably caused some damage that's going to be troublesome to the ship, which some little man might have to fix later on. But you're able to get away, relatively well. You do manage to take out a few pieces of equipment the spaceport probably would have wanted, and you get just these frantic calls, messages after message going on there. It looks like you probably shouldn't go to Alpha Centauri again for a while. There's talk of some kind of warrant and fines and what have you. But if you turn the comm off, none of that happens anymore.
Yep, I'll definitely turn it off. And are we like? I forget. Is this a? Yeah, it's a planet. It's Alpha Centauri. All right. So yeah, right. I would imagine like we break atmo or whatever.
Yeah, you can break atmosphere. The ships are still ships from the Lingua Hydra are still there.
Yep, and I will definitely try to just make my way, fly casual, as Han Solo says, at this point, and see if I can get us out of here to a safe distance where we can make a jump.
Okay. And where are you jumping to?
To where our destination. I don't want to get paid.
Right.
Yep. If we can. I don't know if we can jump all the way there or if we have to make a series of jumps, but I would definitely.
You cannot. You're actually nowhere near a jump point at this point. Like legally and safely, you need to travel about a week away from the system.
All right.
And if it takes this long, Johanna will go up to the captain and I'll say, question: do we have an Ansible on our ship, or is not to?
I think
interstellar communication is instantaneous.
Yeah.
So we do have one. Okay, so you still want me to contact the EKA, Capitano?
Not unless they can help us get out of here. And I'm sort of calculating in my head, okay, so like if it's going to take us a week just to get to a jump point, that's probably not going to work because we will get tracked down. And I say, and I relay this to Johanna, and I say, I think we can take our chances, but based on what happened back there, Transgalactic's not going to be happy. And
funny you should mention that. As you're just you're poking along away from this planet. I mean, you really haven't covered all that much distance so far because that sort of travel just really is rather slow. You can get about to just like sublight, close to light, but just it's nowhere, it's just not all that fast. The ships from the Lingua Hydra have remained stationary. However, you notice that there is a transgalactic ship that is now following you. How in the world could they have found you?
Oh, yeah, that's a very good question.
Or why would they be interested in you, seeing as you have been, cleared for as okay? They have. I mean, they have locks on all their ships, so they know where your ship is.
Right.
But why in the world are they interested in your ship all of a sudden?
Oh yeah. And my brain's spinning, and I kind of get on the comms, and I'm like, Vitor, come to the bridge immediately.
And you find at this point, Viator has cornered Cooper in the captain's quarters, going, and you should have seen the Rabbit's facilities. It's unbelievable how great this place was, Cooper. This is why I'm out here. And is that the captain, Cooper?
Oh, you should see Tiberius's family home. It's even much nicer. I tell you what, if he didn't screw up so badly, we wouldn't be here in this crap hole of a ship. We'd be living the high life. You should come visit that sometime.
Yeah, I think I'm on good terms with the captain now. So I think that's gonna happen.
I'll tell you.
Did he just call me?
Oh, yes, he did. He called.
Yeah.
But wait, what? I'll show you this picture of his sister. Here, check this out. And he's like showing us one.
Ingeniero. Ingeniero. El capitano ordona Salvi que you go to the bridge right now. So.
Yeah, and he'll take the picture of the sister with him as he stumbles as he stumbles down the wall. He'll walk up to Cap and point at the captain. You don't look like this broad at all.
And like you would see that I'm like ready on the cusp to give you this tongue lashing, and then you say this and it catches me completely off guard, and all I say is Cooper, and then I'm like, fine, and I kind of like hit the phone out of your hand, and I'm like, 2 questions. First question, what did you do with the data pad?
Data pad. Oh, I hid it
on the ship.
Well, yeah, it's in the cargo. They'll never find it because I brought it with us.
And then I say, all right, come here. Take a look at this. And I point down to the console that would show the transponder signal of the, the transgalactic ship behind us. I say, so that's following us. You got any ideas?
Not a problem. I can lock that out.
You can. What do you mean lock that out?
I can tap into this computer and shut it off. Or maybe that computer. Let me go back to that one and I'll lock it out.
Two problems with that. One, they can see us, so that's not going to help at this point. And two,
then why did you call me up here?
That's the second question. We need to make a wild jump. We need to get out of here now. Can the ship handle it?
You want me to do that?
No. I want to know if the ship can handle it. Is our jump drive in good enough condition?
Yes. Yes, I've been working on it all week.
And with a decided lack of confidence, I say, all right, gentlemen, this is extremely dangerous, but and I kind of look over to Johano and I say, I don't have a lot of confidence that we're going to be able to get away from this this TGS ship. You guys up for a wild jump?
Veil me. This job is getting worse and worse. I'd rather take our chances with a jump than stay here and duke it out with that. I'll have the crew brace ready stations for immediate jump.
Alrighty. I think at that point, that sounds like a command move by Johano. Getting the crew to ask the crew to prepare for a wild jump, which is like asking them to prepare to lick the stove.
Sure. Command is plus influence.
Plus influence, yeah.
Oh, 7.
Okay.
7.
There's grumbling. There's like, you've got to be effing kidding me. Like, they're. I mean, like, clearly these men are doing this, but they are pissed off. They know what's coming. and they don't know all of it's coming, but they know they're just not going to feel good. So they're doing it, and they're doing it because they respect you, because you instill a certain amount of fear, because they understand the gravity of, like, the ship that's behind them, even though they don't know everything that's going on. They know just getting caught. Like, some of them have learned, like, what we're carrying, and so they're not happy. But this, your relationship with them is starting to get very strained at this point. So they're prepping. They're getting ready.
Yes.
And I think, like, as this is happening, I would be like, so, kind of under my breath, well, the textbooks say if you put in the right coordinates, wild jumps are dangerous, but they're survivable. And, like, I'm kind of trying to talk myself up, and I imagine you might actually hear it.
Yeah, and Viator doesn't hear it because he's taken a seat beside the captain, and he's out cold, sleeping.
That's fantastic.
Unbelievable. And I guess if it's all ready to go, I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to try to make that wild jump.
Alrighty.
And do I add anything to that? I don't know on a wild jump.
I don't believe you do. I think that's. No. I think it's saying this is the flat roll.
Whew, got an 11.
You got an 11.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody feels really nauseous. I mean, there's still the effects of the jump, and it does not feel nice.
No, I don't feel nauseous. I set up and vomit all over the place.
Yeah. It is sickening. It feels like you've been folded in half. It feels like squished, impossibly thin, twisted around. You have the visuals of just like things sliding past you. The sounds of, like, screaming in your ears. It is, like, horrific. But you make it. You just feel like you've been through a ringer. But now, so you get to choose, like, what happens.
So I think what I did was I put in the coordinates to get to the nearest jump point where we could jump out of the system. And because I don't know if a wild jump would allow us to go all the way to the destination or not, but
it'll let you. Well, here's the actual move is, like, on a 10+, you reach a point within a week's travel of your destination, or you choose from the list, which is you discover an uncharted world, or exploitable resources, or an interesting phenomenon, or an ancient wreckage or ruins, or a new path to a well-known location, or new faction or culture. So you get to choose because you rolled so high.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Then I want to say a new path to the location. And I want to say that we found a almost like a pirate jump lane. Like it's something that possibly, like, the underground, the smugglers, the real smugglers would know about. They've, like, blazed this trail that is off the charts, so to speak. And I sort of happened to stumble on it. And man, it's basically like a shortcut in a way, to fairly close to the terraforming colony that we're going to.
Right. But it wasn't a week, within a week's, you get one of,
right.
Two. So you got to a well-known location, but what well-known location did you get?
Yeah. So I think that what we did was we got to, we're probably still a couple weeks out from the terraforming platform, but I think maybe what we did was we got to a space station called Lastway. And Lastway is kind of this, like, it's essentially the last sort of big space station before you get out to the colonies. And it is seedy as hell. It's kind of where everybody docks to kind of, refuel and whatever. And there is every form of entertainment imaginable there.
Oh, that place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's reasonable.
So I think
Viator's going to love this place.
Yeah, I think before we get there, like, as soon as we come out of jump, and as soon as Johanna is recovered enough, I'm going to try to get rid of the body and the data pad and just shove it out of an airlock, I think, because we don't want this thing hauling this guy around.
That's pretty easy. And in fact, around Lastway, probably would not be the only body or data pad, orbiting the area around there. So that body
Sounds
of
like that's a fair assumption. Yeah.
the Foreign Inspector and the data pad will be orbiting with all kinds of debris and bodies out there. So you space the remains. And what is your plan now?
I don't know. That's the problem. I think that this was very unexpected. But maybe this isn't a huge TGS sort of area. But I wonder if perhaps Elsor MechTech has some kind of presence here. Considering that this would be like at the far end of like the core Ansible range, they would probably have like a chapter house or something out here. And I wonder if I would kind of like hit Vitor like pretty hard, trying to wake him up.
Yeah, no, a little. He's spit up a little bit in the jump, although he was passed out, having been a little drugged. Yes, Captain.
Two things, and I'm being very, pedantic on purpose at this point. One, you're going to clean that up, motioning to the vomit at some point. But two, look, the scanners say that this place Lastway, there's like some kind of
Lastway.
Yeah.
No, we're not in Lastway.
Yeah, that's Lastway. Look,
we don't want to be in Lastway.
Well, yeah, I know we don't want to be here.
I don't want to be in Lastway. How do we get in Lastway?
I made a jump.
1 minute we're having brandy with Rabbit, and now I'm at Lastway?
Well, when you pass out drunk, things happen. Why can't you go? What's wrong with Lastway?
Did Johanno kill somebody?
Yes, Johanno killed somebody. Are you surprised?
I never liked that big. All right, what about Lastway? What do you want to know? I can't believe we're in Lastway.
What? I figured you'd like Lastway. This seems like your kind of place. What's your problem with Lastway?
I would, except that this is a except Elsor MechTech has a pretty serious route here at Lastway. And I'd rather not see anyone from MechTech.
Wait, but I mean, aren't you? Isn't that your guild? Like, what do you mean?
Well, they used to be my guild. I can do my job. I don't need the guild to do my job. No, they're no longer my guild.
Okay, so what you're saying is we got to avoid Elsor.
I have serious debts to Elsor.
Great.
And to be quite honest, I was hoping to get to EKA because there's someone that could help me with a problem I have to free me from Elsor MechTech. And
you right then you feel a slap on your back, and you look over and you see Edison, the doctor, up there. Oh, you like that freaking chip in your head there, buddy boy? Ha! How about that, Sparky? Yeah, that's got to be a real drag. And so you're trying to freaking. I tell you what, I thought you guys were trying to freaking kill me out there. I'm like, it was almost next thing I know, I'm passing out thinking, which one did I take? Holy crap! I wouldn't want to take that one, and I realized it wasn't the acid. And I was going to come here to kill you. But Lastway? Oh, this is great. I'm going to make a shopping list. We are going to Lastway. This is worth the wild jump, man. And he's getting really excited.
I kind of duck away from the dock, looking at the captain as I kind of head down the corridor toward my workspace. I've got a lot of work to do. It's if we're staying at Lastway, I'll probably stay on the ship and I'll get a lot of the work done as he disappears down the corridor.
and you hear Edison like yelling down the corridor, "Hey, Vitor, can't they download your brainwaves with one of those things if you get close enough?" That's what I heard.
And I'm like,
no response from Vitor.
And Edison just turns to the captain and goes, "I've always wanted to cut one of those guys apart to see what that looks like."
Like,
really amazing technology.
Stow it, Doc. You're freaking me out. I don't need that right now. Listen, do you need something?
Oh yeah, we need to get to. We need to go last way. Yeah, absolutely. I got a shopping list, and it just walks away.
Yeah, like, well, we're going to last way. I guess, is Johanno on the bridge?
This time, Johanna comes up and says, "Good job on the jump, Capitano. Go down there, and we got rid of our extra passenger. So hopefully, the crew cleaning up, and we can make the rest of our journey at least without that complication." And then he looks up and sees the instruments, indicating last way, and he's like, "What's the plan here, Capitano? Why are we coming to last way?"
And I say, well, that jump used up most of our fuel. We got to refuel. That normally wouldn't be a problem. I mean, that's what this place is here for. But our friend Vitor, well, apparently this place makes him a little squirrely. Something about Elsor and debt, I don't know. But Doc's all hyped up to go, do whatever it is he's going to do. I think we're going to have a problem here, Johanno.
Constantine, I've heard this place is dangerous. So we watch ourselves. We get our fuel. Anything else that we need if we're here. I'll see the dock and see what. We'll get some people and go.
I say, do it fast. I want to get out of here as soon as we're refueled.
Well, and before I leave you to run to the bathroom for 1 second, there's of course that matter of the crew, which is really pissed off right now and wants lots more money, or they're threatening to debark on last way and take their chances with another ship because of those damn wild jumps. So I'll leave you gentlemen to consider that for 1 second.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, I think I'll take a quick bio break too, and then we'll leave it at a cliffhanger. Great.
I don't know, Captain. Well, this is the boring part of the broadcast.
Boring part? What are you talking about?
All right, so here we are.
Man.
You guys figured out what the hell you're gonna do?
Hell no. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, well, last way's starting to sound pretty bad.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Viator is in the back putting together a foil helmet that he's going to wear around. So they can't scan my chip.
Oh my
That's
god.
fantastic. That's fantastic.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, I just got that picture of that guy at Lando Calrissian's place with those freaking things on his head. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lobot. Yeah. Wow. Oh man.
I'll come out of there with this literally aluminum foil helmet that I've put together,
Yep.
tinkered together.
That's ridiculous. I love that though.
So how we taking care of this crew issue?
Well, I think the
So-
crew is Johanno's, right?
Johanna will tell the captain, since we're going to last way anyway, perhaps a short would help the crew. While we take care of the refueling, we can give them a small success. The bad feelings from the jump.
You think shore leave will be enough?
A small bonus would certainly go a long way, Trine.
And I think you would notice like a wince, but not necessarily. Something about it would probably have your spidey sense tingling a little bit. But I'd be like, yeah, small bonus. Yeah, I guess. I mean, we don't have much of a choice. I don't want to go to this this EKA drop site. Well, I assume it's an EKA without guys, without guns. Yeah, that's fine. Go tell them we'll 24-hour shore leave, and if we're successful, we'll throw in a 5% bonus.
Yes, yeah, Capitano. They'll like that for sure.
Well, after a little bit of negotiation, the 72-hour shore leave and a 7% bonus has been agreed to.
All right. 72 hours. Great. And I think maybe like
some of the men were quite disgruntled.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think maybe like as we're doing that and you know we're getting ready to disembark or whatever, I think that, you know, I would go up to Johanno and I would look at him and I would say, you killed that man back there. You ever kill anyone before?
Occasion, yes.
How
EKA.
how you feeling about that?
I wish there could have been alternative, but getting caught here. This is a high stakes game. Could get us into serious trouble. Better him than sentence for all of us. Getting caught with this contraband.
I agree. You if we have to do it again, you're up for it?
I don't take pleasure in taking life, Capitano. Be done, and you know, I'll have my shotgun and be shoving shells into it, right, while we're.
Yep. And then yeah, and then I think you would like I would pull out this like sort of like a silenced pistol, like very sort of, you know, bougie, like, you know, whatever, like that the elite would carry, you know, from this like little holster or whatever, and I would pull it out and I would like put the little silencer on and I would kind of look at it, you know, kind of aim it a little bit, just to feeling a little bit intimidated by the big shotgun next to me, like, oh, you know, I can handle myself, and then I would put it back. I would be like, all right, good to know you got my back. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, Capitano. No problem.
And so perhaps the captain starts to wonder at some point, gee, I'm not sure why I got so riled by that watching him hit a guy with a wrench when maybe like 2 hours before he probably killed at least 15 people in the car chase, and probably 60 innocent pedestrians died. But what actually causes an impact on a man? Who can say?
Necessary versus unnecessary. Just saying.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah.
But so the crew is on their shore leave. The doctor has already, vacated the ship and is going through, quite a shopping spree. Bring back all sorts of chemicals, all sorts of mysterious packages and whatnot. Getting medical supplies, getting an inordinate amount of some medical supplies, but has filled up the sick bay with all manner of stuff. Seems to be quite happy, very happy, really chipper. And what are you up to during these 3 days?
Is Vitor staying on the ship, you said?
Well, Viator would wait until he's alone on the ship, and then he would attempt to contact someone that he might know from the EKA. Maybe he has a contact, a Silo Mencken. He wants to confirm that the EKA will do what they promised and help him deal with the Elsor MechTech and get this chip removed from my head. So he will attempt to clandestine, when everyone else is off the ship, contact this Silo. That would be something paramount now that I am in this port of all things.
Yeah, and where is this silo actually located?
Good question. I might not know that. I don't think I would know that. I think he's just a contact. And so my goal would be for him to verify where, and as quickly as possible. I might even inquire if he knows. I would probably inquire if he's connected, if he knows that we're delivering these weapons to who I think is the EKA. I think we're delivering these weapons to them, and if he's aware of it, if they can take care of my problem when we drop off these weapons.
Gotcha. Okay, and how are you making this call?
Well, it'll be via my chip, and I will attempt to use my hijack to secure a channel directly to him.
Okay.
From the ship. It would be from the ship. Computers.
Right. Okay, gotcha. Is a hijack like a specific skill you took?
Yeah, it's part of my technocrat hijack. I can log into a computer system and control it or shut it down or give access to other people, that kind of thing.
Right. It's not a role or anything like that. It's just
well, I mean, I could use it as a role, right? No, it just says what it does. It doesn't give me like a.
Yeah. In this game, technically, skills just work if the fiction allows for it.
Okay, that's decent. I tell you what, why don't you just roll your interface?
Interface, okay.
I think that would be it.
9.
Okay, right on. So you're able to get all that without a problem. You can actually get in touch with Silo.
Okay. And so I'll just want him to see if indeed he knows about this gun drop, and if he can make sure I can be connected with somebody there that'll take care of this problem of mine, this chip.
Well, Silo's like, absolutely, we could still take care of that. It's a very costly operation, very well delicate operation. It's going to cost some money, but we have some specialists here that can do that. That technology is really fascinating.
I think this chip is payment enough. Do you know the secrets that are embedded in this chip? This chip is easily worth the removal of this chip.
Give me a little influence there while we're talking about this.
Ooh, influence 12. 11 plus 1, 12.
Okay, you are convincing him. You are convincing him as The more
I
you talk
promise
about
you, this chip is loaded with data. EKG could use this in multiple ways, connected to all types of business ventures, politicians, security grids.
Yeah, it does sound good. You're gonna have to get to our secure facility to do that, but
And where's that at?
right off of Rigel. We'll call it Rigel.
Rigel. Who do I talk to at Rigel?
You
Who
get
do I
here. Well,
contact?
you can contact me.
Silo.
So then, at
So
some
you're-
point, you start asking about the guns.
Yes, and
Okay.
so you couldn't have somebody when we drop these guns, you couldn't have somebody there to take care of this, so I don't have to make another jump to Rigel.
What guns?
Well, we're delivering guns to EKA,
Where?
the outer world.
Which outer world?
That I don't know. That I'm not privy to that information.
This is where the 9 comes in.
You have to know. You have to know.
Are you telling him it's Terraforming Colony 67J90?
No, because I don't know if I know that. Do I know that?
Yeah, well, you know that. You didn't want
So
to go there in the first
okay,
place.
well, if I know that, yeah,
That's up
I
to you
have
whether you're telling him.
67J92. I have that, but I didn't know if my character knew that. Yes, so I'll certainly tell him we're delivering it to the colony 67J92.
Yeah, 67J902F. Yeah,
Yeah,
so you didn't want to go there because there was a big mech tech thing there, I believe. And
That's right.
We don't have any shipment of guns there. What kind of guns? Now he's getting really interested.
Now that I don't know, but there's a lot of them in a lot of crates. They aren't little guns. I mean, I don't know anything about guns, but these aren't cap pistols. These aren't simple little guns. You don't know about this?
Can you show me? Give me a video link. Go down to where they are. I want to see what these things are.
So I pick up the device that I'm using and I carry him down the hall, and I'm carrying him in front of me, so he's actually point of view. He's seeing the hall as I pass through the ship, and I set him down.
Good God, you're on a piece of junk. What kind of ship is that?
It's the kind of ship that a mechanic is useful for, right? It's a perfect ship for me. And I get out a crowbar and I pop the a crate loose, and I jiggle it loose and slide it over, and I go through the attempted, very poorly hidden disguised tissues, papers, etc., and I pull through, and some of it might have blood on it. This might be the crate in which we've murdered a man. I'm not certain. I'm thinking it probably is. So there might be a little blood here. And I fish out, I'm assuming a large weapon, a heavy weapon. And I kind of push it in front of the video feed.
Holy, where'd you get one of those? Was it impossible to get?
Is that right? Well, we got him. We got him from a guy calls himself Tiger.
Tiger. The Tiger.
Is this a good time for one of us to step in?
Oh no,
we're there. Yeah.
Oh no, this is too good. So he's flipping out like, how many do you have?
And I grab the little camera and I show him the entire cargo bay of all the crates, packed to the top, packed to the edge. I show him and say, every one of these crates are full of these weapons. And then I turn it around to face the camera.
Vichar, my friend.
Yes.
We will take that chip out of you in a heartbeat, and you can be set for life. But you have to get those weapons here because we have nobody on that terraforming colony. We have no interest out that far.
Okay. Do you have people here now?
Where are you?
Let me get back to you and see if we can't organize something.
Vichar, no, give me a location. We need to find out.
And I'm gonna flip it off and set it down, thinking this could be the chance of a lifetime, but it's difficult to trust the security here in this location, because I know how important Elsor MechTech is in this location. So it makes me a little nervous to say so over communication that could be unsecure. So I will set that down, and I will think about that before I call Silo back. Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to. I don't know if I'm ready to tell him where I'm at. So I would probably delay that. Yeah.
And your encryption is so good, he has no idea. He can't even call you back.
Okay.
You
Okay.
imagine somewhere on some far off world, like around Rigel, whatever station
Rigel.
they have, there's this guy frantically trying to get back in touch with you.
Okay.
Seeing weapons that, like, you start to get the realization that you just don't see these weapons very often. These must be incredibly important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I got that feeling, but my character, Vitor, is certainly more concerned that if he announces it, I might be fallen upon right here. Not so much by the EKA. I wouldn't mind that. They would rescue me from my dilemma, but I know so well Elsor.
So, while Vitor is selling you all to the devil, what's everybody else doing? Johanno, any words? What's going on?
Yeah, wow. How do I follow that? I'm trying to think.
I think maybe at this point, not knowing any of this, right? I would be in my cabin and Cooper would be annoying me. And I think that, like, finally I would have him leave. And then I think at this point I would make a direct call to my sister. And I can't remember what I named her in the chat, so I'm just going to say that her name is Liliana. And she's basically in charge right now of Gray Industrial Shipping. And I'm going to try to give her a call.
All righty. So it takes a little while to, like, get through, but all of a sudden you see, like, the visual. There's her face, and she's obviously at a desk.
Yeah.
Very, very, very sternly dressed. Like hair up in a bun.
Yeah.
What is it, Ty? What is it, Ty? She likes a cigarette.
Yeah. And I purse my lips a little bit at, the crudeness of the fact that she's smoking these cigarettes at the office. But I say, I'm thinking that we might be in a bit of trouble here. I'm at Lastway. Do we have any contacts here? Yeah, I'm at Lastway. Can you do me a favor? Can you tell us if TGS has any warrants out or anything for us?
Warrants.
Yeah, warrants.
So she starts looking at her computer, pulls some stuff. You don't have any warrants, but you are wanted for some questioning. It said you jumped right out of Alpha Centauri, and they were looking for one of their inspectors.
Listen, if this quest of mine to be free of the family, well, if this doesn't work out, is there still a place back home for me?
For a criminal.
Well, I've been a criminal for a long time, and so have you. Let's not go there.
Ty, you need to fix whatever this is. I can't help you with this one.
I'll fix it. But when I do, I'm thinking about coming back home. Is that going to work?
Well, I don't know. How much more do you owe them? You owe them another 2 years, is it?
Yeah, but I mean, well, I got the trust fund. I mean, I can pay them off, but I'm not worried about that.
Well, let's see. Will we welcome you back with open arms? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't expect a fanfare. And listen, I'm not looking to make any trouble for you. You're in charge. I just want to know if I get back in, if I'm going to have a job, have a place to be.
That's an interesting question, Ty. It's an interesting question. Let's see. You've got several people back here that are still loyal to you. You're the older sibling. You coming back here probably results in my eventual deposition from the head of the family. I just said you were good at mathematics, Ty. Why don't you figure it out? And she hits a button. The termination screen, the screen goes blank.
Yep. And I was like, yeah, that's what I thought. And I think what was going through my head was that, it's sort of one of those things where it's like, you got to know if you're backed into a corner or not. Right. Like I'm basically gearing up, trying to psych myself up to do what needs to be done. And I think at this point I would seek out Johanno if he's still on the ship.
Yeah, sure. I think he's mostly stayed on the ship. Most of the crew, which are gone into the station, he's mostly stayed on the ship, like looking at the refueling efforts and keeping an eye on the, making sure nobody's snooping around, which is funny because he's looking for threats from the outside, but Viter is right in there, like taking pictures, but around. He's either on the ship itself or just outside in the hangar. Wait, is this a station? Are we docked like on the side, or are we like in a physical hangar inside?
We're docked.
What do you think? We're docked. Yeah.
Docked.
Sure. Yeah. So if in that case he's definitely in the ship, right?
And I think maybe like as I'm kind of looking for him and I find him probably in his quarters, you would be immediately able to tell that, I'm definitely worried. But I've got this sort of stone look in the eyes, like something is there. It's not a fire. It's not, but it's something. And I think maybe you would have recognized it. Like you might have seen it in the eyes of, EKA, who knew that like the Solarian consortium was just coming down on them and it was a fight to the death.
Yeah.
And so go ahead. Yeah.
No, I think that no, if you're going to say something, say it, and then
okay.
will react.
I was going to say, Johanno, I don't think this is going to end well for us. TGS is looking for this ship, and with everything back there, I'm thinking it's just listen, I hate this ship. I imagine you hate this ship too. What do you think about maybe we find another one. We find a different one. We make our own way. Not work for these people anymore.
I understand, Capitano. It's a difficult thing. This ship has provided some freedom, some hiding. We're looking to get away from our past. Yeah, situation has gotten worse with but we're in the middle of a job. We got to see this through. Got to get that money from the steel, right?
Yep.
After that, then maybe we can procure a ship.
Yeah, but thing is, this place will buy guns too, and there's ships here. I don't
There is
know.
that chance, Capitana. That means that your friend, the big Kuniklo planet, he's not going to be happy, is he? I think he sends bounty hunters after you and me, Chune.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. I don't know. Listen. Yeah, but here's the thing, right? You said before the ship gave us some freedom, some hiding. It didn't. It was a temporary respite in our ongoing slavery. After this, company's never going to let us out. They're going to add more time. We got to figure it out. We got to get out of here.
I have to talk to the crew. First, we need to find a buyer for the guns. Perhaps we see if the crew is with us. If we hijack another ship, we're gonna need some backup to do that. Just us. And what do you think? Viter to help us break into a ship?
Oh yeah,
I think Viter. And we can get a small crew to run whatever it is that we steal, Chune.
Oh yeah, and you think your crew is loyal enough? You think they would go for it?
It is a risk, but people like you and me who take these jobs, and then everybody's happy doing this kind of job. I'm sure at least some of them will sign on. Be to have the money ready to pay off whoever wishes to stay. I'm silent for a while. Give them some money to disappear. This Kuniklo sends bounty hunters after us. We're going to be in trouble.
I think you're right. Be discreet, but find out how many of your men will be willing to join us. I'll talk to Viator.
Getting a buyer for those guns. I'm on it.
And I think that, like, as I'm walking out, you would see something that, like, I'd never ever done on the ship before, and I would pull out this, like, little metal case out of, again, kind of the same pocket that I would have had my flask in before, and I open it up, and there's these these beautiful cigarettes that would have been like the prime cigarettes of the core world, and I'll pull one out in this little lighter, and I'll just start smoking one. And just kind of the big picture, it would have been the same ones that Lillian was smoking as well. They're like the prime, tobacco from the core worlds. And I would then go about searching for Viator, not quite knowing where he'll be.
You would find Viator back in his workspace. Now he's piling stuff into his hammock. There's nowhere for this guy to lay down as he's thinking and working. You would come in and find him hunched over again, working on something. You're not certain what, but he's always tinkering with something. You would find him seated at his workbench.
And is he wearing that foil hat?
Not yet. That may be what he's working on.
Okay.
That might be what I'm trying to put together.
Sure. Okay. And so I think I would come up but I would be like, I would make some kind of noise or whatever to let him know that I'm there. Cause I think maybe in the past, like I've walked up on him before and he was like, almost hit me with the equalizer.
Right.
And maybe clear my throat a little bit.
I would spin around on my stool would swivel, and you can hear it, and all the grease that's all over me and on my shoulder, The one thing not greased is the chair. And it spins and you hear it creak.
And I would look at him and I'd be like, that grease isn't flammable, is it?
Probably. What are you doing smoking, Captain?
It's like, well, got a proposition for you. Thinking this job is not turning out the way I expected. I'm thinking I kind of hate this ship, and well, people are looking for it. What do you think about possibly acquiring ourselves a new ship, selling this cargo, and going out on our own?
I think that could work, but I've got to ask you: do you think we're selling these guns to the EKA?
I mean, who else would we be selling them to? I mean, there's got to be EKA out there, right?
Where would we be selling them if not the EKA?
I mean, in this volume, this quantity, I mean, I don't even know. Like, who would be out on? I don't know. This is what I'm talking about. This is what's making me nervous. Like, why? What? You don't think it's the EKA?
Viator hops off his stool and walks over, and he'll take your cigarette from you.
Yeah.
All right. I've contacted somebody at the EKA. I've got a problem they're supposed to help me with. My contact doesn't know anything about this gun shipment to the EKA. He wants them. He's willing to buy them off of us. Do you think Rabbit cares where he gets his take?
Oh yeah, I think Rabbit had a deal with somebody, but
it wasn't with the EKA. So we can either take this cargo, steal the ship, and run, or I can call Silo back and we can cut a deal with the EKA right now. Now, I don't know how Johanna will feel about that.
Yeah.
And I take another long drag and I hand it back.
And I wave it off. I say, you keep it.
These fancy cigarettes, they're not all that good, my friend. And I push it out on one of the crates that I have all these wires and stuff sticking out of. Johanno knows the EKA better than we. He might even know Silo.
So if we do this, we sell those guns to the EKA. We got to get out of here. We can't keep this ship. Johanno's checking with his crew right now to see if they'll stay with us. But he made a good point. They're going to want credits if they're going off the mission.
Listen,
whatever.
Listen, Elsor, I have to get free from Elsor. They are by far more dangerous than I think you know. Johanno knows, but I want freedom from them. So my payment out of this deal is this chip in my head. Now you're the captain of this ship. This was your deal. But I have a very important piece of equipment that can buy my way out of this. I would like you to be on board with this.
And I think I would kind of lean back a little bit, pull out another cigarette, light it, and then say, so what? Like, they're going to cut this chip out of your head?
They have somebody who can do this for me without, hopefully, too much damage. I made a contact with the Silo in the EKG a while to make this deal. I had hoped when I contacted him that when we delivered the guns, they would have somebody there to take care of this for me. He had not heard of this. I didn't tell him where we were at.
What and what's on this chip that's so valuable?
Name it. What would you think would be the most dangerous bit of information I could be carrying in my head?
Oh, you realize there will never be freedom from Elsor if you do this, right? You'll be on the run.
But they can't track me. They can't tap it. I mean, from where I stand now, I'm on the run. It's all I've ever known. I was raised. I was an apprentice. I was put through this. I want my freedom. I have a better chance without this chip in my head than with this chip in my head. And if the EKA will pay me to remove it and help me, the guns mean very little to me, but it sounds as if the EKA might well take care of all of us for these guns. Have you looked at the guns?
No, I don't care about the guns. But I do.
Well, they're not, this is military grade stuff. I mean, this is big time.
At least the EKA is a known entity. We know what they're about. They get these guns. They fight the Solarium Consortium. That makes sense. But but we put these guns in the hands of an unknown actors. Who knows what that's going to be? Listen, you want freedom? I want freedom too. Let's figure it out. Let's talk to Johanno. Let's see what we can do. Let's figure it out.
He knows more about the EKA.
What is our good bosun doing at this point?
I think Johanna's still thinking about what's our next move. We need to sell the guns and we need to sell the sure where that's going to go, but I think he's going to try to size up the mood of the crew, hoping our relations have improved again.
Yeah, the crew is if you talk to any of them, they are all much better spirits. They've spent some money. They've done all the typical shore leave stuff in excess. In fact, a couple of them are still missing. The whereabouts of a couple are not quite entirely certain, but they've had a good time. So they're fairly happy at this point.
Okay. So, think I should start explaining things to them, like sounding them out. I think it's not a huge crew of soldiers, right? But it is a sizable.
Right.
I'll gather them, and I'll call them over. Men, situation is changing. You'll know that things went bad after Alpha Centauri. Job prospects here at Transgalactic seem to be getting smaller. La Capitano is a good man. He has plans. He's thinking. if we're here, many of you like me, as a last resort, our previous lives left behind. Time
And you see, not
probably
not
again
not
for a new
agreement amongst the men. They're you've got them at this point.
Yeah.
They look intrigued.
Yeah, things are getting dire. Is what we need, and a new chance at a new life. Things are about to go down. We're jumping ship from.
Jumping ship. Then what are we gonna do?
We'll find something else. A new ship. Selves for a chance, for a change. Along if you don't want. There'll be some profit at the end of this stage. But your money, you can walk away. But think on this. Not happy. The Cuniclo, the man who sold us the guns, happy. So wherever you go, run a risk. What we offer is a chance at a new start. We take equal shares. These companies money from us. Chances of a new start. We start working our own contracts. Who knows? Maybe we'd get out of this life once and for all.
All righty, man. Let's face some adversity there. Let's roll some influence. See what happens.
Here's sort of like 3. What's going to come in? Come on, let's see. 3. That would be a 12 with my +1 influence. So,
get the hell out. Well, apparently, you have these men eating out of the palm of your hands. The more you give the speech, the more these guys start to come around, and transgalactic sucks. The captain's not a bad guy. And against all odds, you get this group of men. Maybe it's the booze, maybe it's all the all the carousing they got to do, all the other stuff they got to do. But you're kind of have them like nodding in agreement, like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And one of them's like, I know where there's a freighter docked right over there. There's a hardly any guard on that thing at all. Bigger than this one. I know we could we could move the stores across it. We could probably even do that from the outside docks. Nobody's watching. We'd probably be able to do that undetected. One guy starts spinning this whole idea,
Yeah.
As long as somebody's got to disable the outside sensors, though, right around there, so I don't see what we're doing. But other than that, we should be a snap.
That's a good idea right there. Let's talk to Capitano and see what he has planned. If he's got a buyer lined up, that and see what we can do on here. So I think at this point I'll go to Gray, to Captain Gray.
Capitano.
And so I think as Johanno comes in and like he would, I think that Viator and I were both going to look for him, right? Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
so
can I make a
smiling?
Can I make? Go ahead.
Viator, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
I was going to ask an out of character question. So when I hit that 12, do I have a data point for that?
I believe so. As a matter of fact, yeah, that's a good point. I've been ignoring the data points.
Well, because if I want to know beforehand in case we decide to call Silo, is that how I would use that data point to recontact with Silo? Is that how? That's kind of what I thought.
No, you don't have to. You should be able to contact with them again. Okay.
Okay, so
that would be a knowledge of something like related to.
Okay.
I mean, it's really kind of a knowledge thing, but yeah, I'll let you have that.
All right, I just wanted to. That's something I was very curious about. So sorry to interrupt. I
could be wrong, but
no, but I'm just trying to make sure I know what's going on. Okay, so go ahead, Johanna.
last thing on that, the way I understand that, you usually, if you can lever that information, that adds a bonus to your roll.
Right, right.
So whatever it is,
I
if you
gotcha.
can work in how the knowledge is helping,
I
putting
gotcha.
bonus.
Okay, so it actually becomes a +1.
Right.
Ah,
I believe so.
okay, that's that. Okay, okay,
Or at the very
just know that
least,
it's,
a fictional.
okay, okay. All right. Sorry to bring that up in mid-game, guys, but this seems like a pertinent time to maybe check.
Yeah, no, that's a good. I mean, we're preparing to dig our own graves. We might as well get as much mechanical advantage as we can, right?
As we can, exactly. So Johanna comes in with a big grin and sees you too, and he says, "Dono, our crew is with us. The guns yet?"
And I say, well, we might. Vitor, tell him.
So I walk up to you, Johanna, and I look up at you. Listen, big fella, have a seat there in the captain's chair, would you?
Yeah. Sorry. Look, wouldn't sit.
I know you have a background with the EKA. Do you know Silo Mankus?
EKA. I don't know if I do.
Oh, I thought
the character.
I thought you had been a rebel with the EKA at one point in your background.
So if he's a big guy in the EKA, yeah, I probably know him.
Okay.
So I'll say EKA, yeah, yes, I for the EKA.
Well, why I ask is he is my connection, and he is very interested in buying these weapons off of us. It turns out that we aren't delivering these weapons to the EKA at all. He had not heard anything about it, but he wants them. I can, with a simple call, make this deal, but I don't know how you feel about the EKA.
I did my time in the EKA. War wasn't going well. Things were starting to go bad. I figured it was time to cut loose. If the EKA is our buyer, we should be careful. They're changed as the war came on. Clear targets, we had clear procedures, mission objectives. And as things started going worse and worse for the Alliance, measures started going more and more extreme. And Silo, he started authorizing these operations. Means.
Or do you think they are capable of doing for us what we want done, which is pay our way?
If they feel like it, they could pay. But my worry is started to justify means.
But do we care about that? I just want my freedom.
I know. I'm just saying.
I'm not really worried what they do with these weapons. I don't know, Captain. I don't know.
And I think this is where I would kind of look to Johanno and I would say, you killed a man before because it was what you had to do. You left because you wanted that freedom. You didn't want other people telling you what to do. You know, we live in a world where we just got to do what we got to do sometimes. as much as I hate to say it, I'm with Vitor on this one. I mean, you know, the EK, they're going to kill people, yeah, but they're going to do it one way or another. Maybe we make something out of this deal.
Mankus doesn't know where we're
Yes.
at. I haven't told him. But with a call, we might be able to set this up quickly and be rid of these and well on our way. What did you say to the crew to get them back?
Well, pretty much, as you say, promise of freedom, choice in determining our own destiny, making our own contracts, not having to follow leads for what we do. If it doesn't know where we are, then that can only be to the good. As I say, ends justify the means for that man, which means we got to be careful in how we set this up. If we're given the guns, then we got to make sure we deliver them on our terms. Philo might just decide to show up and take the guns from us and not pay. Ends justify the means with this man.
Except there's something you don't know. They also want the chip in my head. I could be the parlay that we use to guarantee delivery, because they also want the chip in my head.
Well, that definitely is something I hadn't counted on.
It's risky. I mean, like you said, they could just shoot him and take the ship. If we can figure it out, though, so that they don't bring too many guys, and we got our guys stationed ready in case it goes sideways, I think it could work. They seem motivated. They seem like they want this chip, I guess, and I can't imagine they wouldn't want the guns.
I say we give them this deal. They first remove the chip from my head, deliver me safely back to you for exchange for the cargo. We steal the freighter, and the crew has to wait to be paid when we're all paid. I'm the bargaining chip, but I got to stay alive.
And you hear a voice behind you. Yeah, those chips are no good. If you cut them out of a dead guy, they don't work anymore. And right behind us, the doctor. It's like, what's going on? Are we gonna be pirates or something?
Like
freelancers.
Yeah,
and he snorts something. He goes, you wouldn't believe this stuff. You could hear for like freaking 10 miles with this. The people like outside there, the guys are even talking about like, we're gonna move stuff from this ship to that freighter over there. That's a nice looking freighter, man. That'd be really cool things.
It is a much nicer
I told
freighter.
them to get going.
You told them to get going?
Yeah, they're just waiting on somebody to disable the outside camera so we can move the stuff. Let's do it up.
Well, we're working on it.
I could do that.
I think let's not be too hasty, though. I think maybe we should work the deal, get the credits, offload the guns, then do this thing.
Guns? What guns?
That cargo we brought on. Well, I guess there's some.
Not like turnips and baby milk and stuff like that. Guns?
Like,
get the hell out,
Doc. Come on, man. You thought it was turnips and baby milk?
No, not at all. And I got to see this, and so he just heads off to the cargo hold.
Like, that man's fixing to kill himself.
One more thing, Capitano. If they don't know the entire manifest, we should open at least one of those crates and poorly armed. That at least
Absolutely.
will be an additional bargaining chip if we bring heavy firepower to that meet. Any hasty action on their part.
I'll trust your judgment on that, but I say we keep a crate or two for ourselves if things don't go well. But yeah, I agree. All right,
Go check the inventory and make arrangements.
let's do this. And I say, Vitor, make the call.
Done, Captain. And so I'll go back to my my workspace, and I'll sit down with my little communication device, and I will dial up Silo and wait for him to answer.
He answers almost immediately. Vitor, is that you? I've been trying to call you.
Yes, Silo. There was somebody skulking around here. I had to shut down our communications. We want to do this thing. We want to sell you the guns. And I want this chip removed from my head, and we will provide you the location.
Location? You're coming here, aren't you?
Rigel? I'd rather it be a neutral site, Silo.
Neutral site.
We'd rather meet in a neutral site. Have your doctor there ready to remove my chip in exchange for these weapons and the fee, the price for the guns.
Neutral site. And he's just typing in the gun. And you're at last way?
No, I never mentioned that.
Oh, that's right. You didn't mention. Okay, never mind. That was so where. That's my bad. So where are you? Where? Like, I'm trying to get a neutral. Trying to get an idea where we're gonna go. My bad. Just get Rick on that.
So I quickly look at the star chart. You got to understand something about Viator. He grew up on a space station. He's like that guy that doesn't understand geography. You know, you say, where Bangladesh is, and he goes, no, I don't. Well, that's Viator when it comes to planets. So he looks roughly where he's at, and he says, what about planet number C74298?
Right. Oh, so you're all the way out there. I'll tell you what. We'll see. We'll arrange a place middle distance. Seoul.
Okay.
No.
And we're,
and he goes like this. He makes his face. He's like, Earth.
Earth. Okay. Be prepared. We will in flight. We will send you a inventory, a manifest of the weaponry we have, and what we want in credits for that. And once the chip is removed from my head, you will, and we have the payment. You will then have the guns.
As you realize, we're not going to Earth itself. We're going to that system.
Okay.
Something a little bit more doable. I say, he's typing away again, I'm going to call it Ganymede.
Ganymede?
Yeah. Can
I use a data point to know more about Ganymede?
No, you don't need to do data points. It's one of Jupiter's freaking moons, dude.
No. I mean, if I know that this is EKA stronghold.
Oh, absolutely. Ganymede is
incredibly dangerous. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Ganymede is incredibly dangerous. It's one of the most hotly contested area. Jupiter has fallen back and forth between like who is actually in control of it. And so all the four Galilean satellites are incredible hotbeds of like they're just like sane people don't go there. But it's a perfect place for launching some kind of attack.
That's a war zone.
Yes, and you're carrying guns. You're like a scientist, aren't you, Vitor? This is amazing. Surely that ship has allowed you to do some kind of logic.
Do you have the doctors capable and EKG and Last Way? We can meet at Last Way.
Last Way. Why would you want to go to Last Way?
Because we feel safe at Last Way. We're not far from it. I think we could get there relatively.
Not far from it. You just said you were on the other side of the galaxy from it. Do you know how to read a star chart, man?
I look at the star chart. No, yeah. See, I may have been wrong about that. We're not as far from Last Way as I thought.
Alrighty. Why don't you roll me some influence there? See whether you can convince this guy.
8. 7 + 1, 8.
Alrighty.
So it's probably face adversity, I would think, right?
Yeah, that's a
With
face of
influence.
well,
Yeah.
that's a face adversity with influence. Okay, we can get some people to come out to Last Way.
Good. And the doctor. We need the doctor. Or a doctor capable of this.
We can bring some medical supplies, people out there.
It'll take us approximately 96 hours to be there.
What's going to take us longer than 96 hours to get to Fastway? It's going to take us. He's looking down there. With current jumps, that's going to be 2 months using the regular lanes. Too much. I mean, yeah, we're not crazy enough to just do wild jump like Lingua Hydra and jump right into the system. You're the only ones that can do that.
Then we will be waiting for you when you arrive in 2 months.
Yes. We'll be there. We'll be there. Stay put. And he terminates the
Okay. I will head up front and tell the captain, and I will come in with my eyes big. I'm sweating a little bit, and look at Johano seated in the captain's chair, and the captain on his third cigarette. Right? You guys should have been there. I don't know what the hell to tell this guy. They're going to meet us here in 2 months, and we're going to exchange the goods at Last Way. So it gives us
It's
time.
about this time you start to hear the alarms. A panicked crew member comes in, and he starts spinning you this stuff. And apparently, while you've been making this phone call, and while the captain and Aloy have been kind of like deliberating back and forth how we're going to do this, is somehow the doctor took things into his own hands. So they did the cargo transfer into this other freighter. You know. And so there's actually a gunfight going on, and the guy's like, "You gotta go, we gotta go now."
I'll draw my shotgun and I'll run out. Follow quickly. We're doing this. We're doing this now.
And I literally, I'm the last one to leave the bridge, and I'm standing with my hands out, going, Was anybody watching Wheeler?
I don't know. That might be the perfect place to end.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you just gotta make it to the ship. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess I would be like, well, buddy, looks like we don't have 2 months. Better grab the equalizer. And I'll pull out my silly little pistol.
Yeah, I'll pull up my wrench and hit my palm a couple of times.
Yeah, just give me a face adversity roll just with physique as you're running like hell to get to this ship.
Face adversity physique, is that what you said?
Yeah, physique.
Wait, this is
7, 8, 9.
To reach
9 for me.
This is to reach the ship, or can we launch an assault against the ship, or what's the?
Oh, you can launch an assault against the people that are fighting with it. Whatever you want to do.
So I think if we're gonna do that, then what we should do is maybe Johano launches assault, and we can get involved.
You know, Doctor's already made it there, and is
all right, or unless it's just narrative, and I mean, either way, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean not Doctor. Vitor has already rolled a 9, and is unless you want to change your action. You want to
I'm not gonna get in a gunfight anyway. I'm gonna be bobbing and weaving to get onto the ship.
Okie dokie.
But I don't know about my colleagues.
I mean, I think if we're coming under fire, I would probably sort of defer to Johano in this case, since he's our muscle.
I don't know. It depends on how you want to treat it, right? Firefight that we have to get to the ship, or is it just run like hell before they shoot us?
It's up to you how you want to handle that.
I'll launch an assault, man, and that's why I built the scout.
Yeah, right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, here we go.
Start shooting, man. Are you launching a
6 plus.
Okay.
Hang on. I'm
Well, are you
launching
opening
an,
fire?
I'm sorry. It's open fire
Open-
because I'm going out guns
Yeah.
blazing.
Yeah.
So plus
Yeah.
metal.
Plus metal, which is a 7 total to my roll.
Okie dokie.
But talents is tactics. When you open fire, you choose one or more consequences on a partial success, not the GM.
Okay, great.
So
there you go.
Yeah. So okay, so I think we're gonna we succeed, but battle shifts, changing threats. I think we start shooting at these guys. Our crew's already there with the doctor. They've started the assault. We arrived there just in time to provide sufficient fire, firing shotgun blasts at the plane. And as we make it to the freighter, there's no station security here, is there? I think.
Yeah, it's probably station security.
You think? Well, there's got to be something. Yeah, somebody's got to keep order here. It's
Perhaps,
not necessarily the cops, right? Maybe it's the underworld. But I think as we make it to the ship and are trying to take off, station security arrives in gunboats, a couple of gunships. Small gunships from the station arrive to
right on.
Not allow us to escape with the with the ship.
Right on. And Jason, on the other hand, or the Vitor, as he's made it to the ship. He's made it successfully, just a hail of bullets, and he's just gone through all of them. But at some point, perhaps the tin, because he rolled a 9, the tin hat has fallen off of his head, and also he can feel like, oh my God, they know I'm here. The chip, whatever you did, this man did. So you can feel like that. There's an unmistakable like melding of minds, like that signal, like where you like also you can see on your computer like the signal's like your broadcast, like oh crap, I'm broadcasting. They know I'm here.
You see Vitor holding his head as he runs. No.
And the captain, what are you doing? What's the captain doing in this situation?
I mean, I would have tried to like stick right behind Johanno and kind of go in with him, and
I have this picture of you just like running behind.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably no roll necessary. He rolled for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
So this point, gunships are going on. You guys can try to undock and outrun them, and then But how in the world could you get away fast enough?
I don't know. Should we leave that for next? Next time on.
I'll tell you what, you should probably just roll the wild jump now, and not narrate it.
Oh, I rolled a 7.
Okay,
7. So it's a partial success.
It's a partial success. Yeah. All right, and that we'll go and end the session there.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
All right.
Good job, guys.
All right.
That was pretty cool. Any impressions?
Good. Impressions.
We got a couple minutes or not?
It's fun. It's it takes me a minute because you don't want to step on someone else's narration. So that for me is definitely a pacing kind of, where can you step in and add flavor, and where are you out of bounds? That was for me the biggest hang up.
Yeah, I think that's hard. I know with me, like I'm the type of player who is always like cool with somebody inserting, like if I say something and then you insert something, and like we can go back and forth. But yeah, I think that's one of the things that is good to like if you ever play PBTA, to say, okay, hey, where are those boundaries?
Yep.
For sure. But yeah, I had a great time.
In terms of the in-character experience, Jason, how one of the main concerns, right? Versus narrating versus inhabiting. How did that feel for you?
No, I stayed in character the whole time. As far as for me though, I'm accustomed to a shared space. What I mean by that is when you guys you're narrating something, then Viator can also put in his 2 cents and share that space. So for me, having to just step back, because I think so much of it is dependent on you narrating, which could trigger a move, and then at what point are as a player am I interrupting that, or at what point am I making that how do I describe this? Complicating the obvious, which is this is the captain's moment. This is Johanno's moment. This is right. So how can you parlay and play, but also allow them to have that moment? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But as far as in character, it was for me. It was in character the whole time. I felt because I didn't. Only when I had to stretch out and say, okay, I know Silo Mankus, do I feel like I'm breaking rules big time, right? Because I'm not accustomed to inventing the narrative. I'm not accustomed to saying, oh, here's this piece. So, of course, for a guy who grew up not doing that, I feel like I'm breaking the ruls, right? Yeah, well, although not these rules, just the rules of what I've done my whole life.
Well, I remember this first starting to play Ubiquity, just where you're just supposed to narrate what the success looked like. The first few times I had to do that, it felt really uncomfortable. Like I was like stepping on some other guy's lawn that I just wasn't supposed to step on. You know, it was really kind of, and so it's taken me a while to get over that mindset. I could tell you just watching you guys like narrate with each other. You know, I think something like Hangouts makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
You know, because there's that lag and you're kind of like, you know, whacking each other. So getting some kind of rhythm going with that, it seems to be pretty essential with it. But it was fun, just like, you know, asking you guys questions, and like as from my perspective, it was a hoot. I mean, I didn't really have to do very much at all. So I just kind of, I mean, except write stuff down and try to remember what the hell you said.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, this was strange to me because it feels like everybody has a turn. So, you know, it's like, okay, I'm talking to the captain, or not me, but the GM says, okay, captain, tell us your deal. And the captain goes, and then Johanno goes, and then I go. And then at what point are we all going? It definitely feels strange that way to me. Now, I don't know if that's normal, of course, because I've never done this before. But
yeah, I don't think that's the system so much as the familiarity of play, right, and the group, because I think that like I think that's naturally how we sort of play because we're used to the more structured play style, right? And so I think you tend to do that, and where I think you get that really pure kind of beautiful narrative experience is when you've gotten to a comfort level where you're like, okay, great, this was said. Now I'm going to jump in and add my part of the narration, you know?
Right.
But that can feel weird when you're not.
Yeah. Well, I'll describe it this way. It's pushing a string versus pulling a string. And I'm accustomed to being in games where you pull the string versus being the guy pushing the string. So when I'm narrating and the string's going this way, and you know, it feels like pushing a noodle.
Yep.
That's the difference from what we normally do to what this feels like, which is not bad. It's just, you know, you don't know where that noodle's going.
Yeah.
Right. And I could have made it a little bit more turn-based, not from like a traditional sense, but just like, you know, for me as I'm watching the whole narrative unfold, I'm like, well, I wonder what Johanno's doing. I wonder what the doctor's doing. So a lot of that promptly was my fault.
I like that. I mean, I like that.
No, that's good.
It definitely like
that's the pacing mechanism. I mean, and that's the narrative pacing when it feels like, wait a minute, this guy is not. What is he doing? And that's a beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very instinctive.
Yeah, I felt kind of like scenes in like a television show. Like you guys, we've split the party. What the hell is the other guy doing? But I mean, like the other thing that's in here too. It's interesting that like different PBTA games put it different ways or have different rules. But this one part in the player principles, where it talks about unless the GM specifically prompts them, the player should refrain from altering or inventing facts about the universe. So I think we like you guys went a little bit. Like Sam's very comfortable with Powered by the Apocalypse, so Sam invented some things about the universe without prompting, which but I was going to let it go. I was like, I figured, well, let me see how this goes and whatnot. But I think, I mean, at least to play this game purely, you probably have to wait for the game master to say, okay, what is this, and to kind of throw a ball back in their court. Yeah,
that's a good observation. It's hard to sort of know where that boundary is because I know for me. When I run the game, I come in with very little sort of preconception about what the world is. So I fully allow the players to do that stuff because they usually will create something so much more dangerous and terrifying than I would. So it's much more fun for them to, because they'll make bigger stakes. And
absolutely. I think it's probably, and this is my first time. I think it's kind of like that's like kind of a mechanism to keep the I don't want to say fair because that's the wrong word, but like because some players are just naturally more aggressive. I'm a pretty aggressive player.
Me too.
And looking at my own devices, if I didn't have a reign, like okay, it's your turn, I'd probably invent a buttload of facts about the universe. Yeah.
Well, and that was my concern about Silo. I mean, was that when I thought, well, this is what I would have made a connection because that was kind of what I was trying to do was get the EKA to take care of this for me. I thought, gosh, how far outside the lines am I painting now? Because this, it's a danger for me. For me, I felt like, oh my gosh, I could be painting. I could be really taking poetic license here, which I may have been doing. I don't know.
I think part of the idea is to hold yes and improv. Performance where Ivan's supposed to go, wait, he starts talking about this guy, I'll take it, yes. And I stumbled a little bit when you said, this guy because you asked me. So I sort of like hesitated, wait, does he want me to say yes or does he want me to go a different direction? My first instinct was to go, yes, of course I know him. To be the default answer, if you will, is yes and.
Right.
Yeah.
So that always makes for very interesting stuff. And it's like Sam says, it's a bit loose. Most PBTA, if you make more information about the world, that's awesome. Perhaps the concern is that you might change like the technology, right? Like don't invent like a transporter beam in the middle of the thing.
Right.
I don't know if that's what they're talking about, right? Don't alter.
Yeah.
Well, I think it would be. If it's foundational, you definitely shouldn't be tweaking it.
Right.
Right. And that's why I tried to even preface like the star chart thing. My character doesn't know. I mean, he literally lived on a space station. He's he doesn't know a damn thing about the astronomy. So he looks at the star chart and I just rattle off that's kind of my way of also making sure I don't change the reality of our world. Right. Leaving that open for the GM to make sure I don't change the reality of the situation, right?
Sure.
By creating C476, that's the way I saw it. Was here's a chance for me to give the GM something that could be plausible.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I thought. I mean, there was no part where I said, "Oh, this is really sucking," or they're narrating too much. And I could give you. If anything, I probably didn't prompt you enough. I tried to, get going with some of that, and I had a few like written down questions I wanted to ask you guys initially, and then after that it was just like when things were obvious, then it got kind of fun, So it was, then it was obvious what I should ask you, but sometimes you guys were just. I mean, I think I remember sitting back at one point thinking like I don't think I've said anything for 10 minutes. We're just
right.
That's my fault. Sorry.
No, but it was okay. I'm like, well, this is kind of. And actually, that's probably the hardest part of this game for me right now procedurally is like, there is a protocol for like when do you put in a game master move, And and there are many times within that like if I was playing a different game, I would have shoved in something would have happened a long time before that. And so I think I probably hesitated too much sometimes to introduce it to complication. But like here, like players trigger those GM moves. It's like either you roll a failure or you do something so dumb or stupid or whatever. Like if you like, for example, like you leave the body and the tablet inside the crate. There was no roll, but that's a golden opportunity. It's like you're goddamn right. There's a tracker on that.
Yeah.
You know, somebody's going to be interested in that. So that ship chasing you guys was entirely based on that. That ship didn't exist, 30 seconds before that. You know?
See, I really anticipated this type of game is we are telling the story. We're narrating, we're deciding what we're doing, where we're going, and along the way, the GM says, I'm gonna have to ask you to do something to prove that. Or I really thought it would be that kind of thing. It definitely at moments felt that way. But again, that's how how do I say this? So we're going here, we're going to take this cargo to Rigel 3, and the captain says, okay, Viator, make sure the jump drive's ready to go. And I go, okay, I'm going to check the jump drive out. And you say, okay, we're getting ready to jump. And you might say, okay, make a roll for the jump. And then we narrate the jump. And then the captain might say, how's the crew doing? I mean, I got this feeling that would just be this constant narration of the captain giving orders. And we're all, and then the GM would step in and say, you got to make a jump check. Got to make a check that, guess that, see what I'm saying? It may get to that when you've played together for months. I don't know. That's what I mean. I have no idea. So, I mean, we're talking baby steps for me. And what I perceive in my head as the epitome of this system is that. But this is our very first game together. So how do you get there? Or do you get there? Am I totally wrong about that?
I think it takes some time. It was interesting from my chair to watch how everybody acted just a little bit differently. I don't think it was just an experience. It was just, I'm watching you a lot more in character, and I'm watching Sam doing more directing, or not even directing, but writer room stuff. It's not even the screenplay. It's I think he goes this. What do you think? I don't know, man. It's very interesting, different approaches to how that all kind of comes together.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting because I felt I could inhabit my character in this not much different than I inhabited Jurgen in Lamentations. What changes is I at some point have to step outside of that to push the noodle.
Yep. Which
is very difficult when you're Viator in this space waiting for the world to come to you, kind of, so to speak, right?
Yeah, I've done that with Tess in the Veil too. It's very, very immersive, and at some point I have to oh wait, I have to make something up about outside me, and then I think that's, I'm not sure how much of that is that's just my default. It's that's what I do is I get right in the zone of the character, and oh wait a minute, I have to tell them how I know this person. Well, I mean I can do that, but more detailed stuff,
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I'm inventing Silo Mancus. I mean, my God, it feels like I'm stealing the game from the GM.
Well, and that's the thing, right? It's the way I had to think about it when I first started running this was that sort of everybody's the GM, but the actual GM sort of has the ultimate narrative authority, because typically if you have a group that has GM'd before, they will take the reins, but they will also be sort of cognizant of where that sort of ephemeral boundary is, right?
Yeah.
And I think they tend to be more deferential to when the GM then steps in and says, okay, but whatever. And so, and I think that's what happened here. And I think I don't know if that's the right way to play it. That's just how I happen to have done it in the past. But I think if you go in with that mindset that it's oh, I'm sort of the GM too.
Yeah.
Then
we're still comfortable inventing stuff.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah.
And what we have to do is then respect the boundaries, which I think we understand as GMs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe procedurally, when you come up with like, I talk to the NPC Silas, maybe that's when the GM comes and goes, Silas, wait, who's this guy? Tell me about him. And how do you know Silas? And fight together in the war, and that's where the GM and draws more information. That can be a bit disruptive because you're in the middle of narration, right? And then you have to stop and answer questions and the system, right?
But that seems like what you're being told to do, at least as a game master, is like you're more of a facilitator. I mean, it's funny because I don't think, like when Jason said, when you said like you're stealing the authority or away from the game master, it reminded me of what somebody said in our I don't want to say their name just in case they didn't want their name revealed, but like they said in our group, we were talking about Anthony and I talking about how our thesis is that the Powered by the Apocalypse games are very gamist. They're not very narrativist. And at one point, the person said, well, Anthony right there was talking about like losing narrative authority, talking about the game master. And I said, well, go back. That's not what he said. He talked about earning narrative authority. And I kind of made the comment like, well, you can't lose what was never yours.
Right.
And in this game, like the game master doesn't, narrative authority is not the purview of the game master.
Right.
You're a facilitator. I'm there to make sure that the world is running smoothly. So like there was that time I think at some point, Sam said we're going to go here. I'm like, well, no, actually you're going to go there. And it was just something that like wouldn't have fit. And it was like a really minor thing. But there's other times when it's just, it's time to most of it's like the GM moves. It's time to introduce a complication. It's time to and then it's time to introduce like really soft complications first. And then if they don't take the hint, then something really bad's going to happen.
See this, and this does really strike me as the perfect game, a UW, where the captain would set the stage. And then, in a way, you pass the stick, right? You pass the stick to the left, and everybody keeps building on that. And the GM only steps in when it's time to absolutely say, you're going to have to prove that with a function of the dice, right?
Yeah, but I think Ivan did that a couple of times. It was like,
oh yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not saying you didn't.
The crew and then he's like, okay, roll for that. Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is like procedurally, a game like this is completely opposite from the traditional game that you play, in the sense that in a traditional game, the GM is providing answers and the players are asking questions. And in this game, it's the opposite. The GM is asking questions and then the players are providing answers. And so like for me, that was the hardest part to try to sort of wrap my head around. That was, oh, okay, so we're going to introduce an NPC, right? So normally as a GM, what I would do is I would say, okay, this is what this is the NPC's name. And then I would have a list of questions, right? That I would want to ask myself, okay, well, who does he work for? Blah, blah, blah. Well, in this type of game, you just ask the players that.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite of what you normally do, but it can be really interesting because then you as the GM, you're like, wow, like I didn't, this is cool. Like I'm getting to learn about this guy now too,
Yeah.
So what happened?
Go ahead,
Elo. Yep.
Sam throws out just a name, the rabbit, and then brain explodes and starts firing in all cylinders, and suddenly the rabbit is there, and it's like, this is really a great character.
But that's my other question. Who's responsible for creating the rabbit? To me, that's Sam's responsibility.
Well, it depends.
It's technically yes, but
the GM would have said, really, the rabbit? Tell me about the rabbit. Who's the rabbit?
If he has no idea whatsoever, he could have asked at any point.
Okay.
I think this is depends. It all depends.
This is where the arbiter role comes in, right? Yeah. So he's the final authority. Does he need help?
Right.
Does he not need help? Well, go with what you got, right?
Yep.
Right. And so like when I invented Silas and I kind of gave a quick background as to how I contacted him and who he is and why I'm talking to him and I don't really know where he's at. He didn't have to ask me. I told him.
Yep.
right?
Right.
So technically Sam could have said, well, there's this guy named the Rabbit, big fat guy, lives in this place, blah, 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 blah. At what point would Ivan need to not do anything until he wants to achieve a goal that must be challenged by the dice? That's all, that's how I'm looking at this. We're literally are saying, tell your tell, Sam, and I'm only going to interrupt you when you absolutely we need to challenge that truth. Right.
Yeah,
or
but, I mean,
ask questions. Or ask questions.
That's not how it's I mean, just rereading it. That's not how it's written. It's asking me to prompt him to fill in gaps and then run with the answer. It doesn't really say, well, how much of an answer do I let him give me? It's like, either he stops. I mean, he could be like, I know the rabbit. And the rabbit's like this. So I can just say, I know a guy named the Rabbit. I'm like, okay, the Rabbit. Let's. And then it's up to me. Do I decide to ask him more questions, or do I run with it? And then So I think procedurally, it's at least for, from where I'm sitting, it's a matter of like, do I want to ask him more questions or not? And not because I want the control of it. It's just like, okay, well, let's either I get an idea or I don't get an idea. I mean, probably one of the hardest things. You know how it is, like if you've done like Game Master by the seat of your pants, right? And you don't have much of a plot, and we've all done this, and then you're making stuff up. And the hardest thing about that is you have to write it down and be a game master at the same time, because if you don't write it down, you're going to forget it, or something like. With this, I have plenty of time to write down what you guys are making up. But the thing is, you go off on such left turns. I'm like, holy crap! Let me try to figure this one out. So but that's cool because it's not all coming from one place. It's getting all these great ideas, but it's a different challenge. It's not any more challenging than by the seat of your pants. It's just a different challenge.
Well, and I like Sam's description of you have the answers as a GM. And you're asking questions as a GM. I mean, I like that analogy. It does make sense. Yeah.
And as a player, risk you run is to give too much information, too much narration, set it up too much, right? You're doing too much of the work, then you're creating the problem and solving it yourself, right? Which is not. So there's a point at which you throw something out like the Rabbit, and then you wait and see if Ivan picks it up.
Yeah.
And if he does, does he want more info? At that point, sure, I'll provide something. But
and that's where the questions come.
That's not real.
And that's where so at some point Sam says, Ivan says, tell me about what cargo this is, and Sam says, well, it's illegal cargo. We're gonna be meeting the Rabbit. Right, and that's where the narration starts to slow, and then he says, "Well, then tell me about the Rabbit," and you tell me about the Rabbit, right? So that we can't get the narration out of control when there's a constant question prompting, right? Now we're marching through that narration in a natural way, right?
Yeah,
that's the way it seems to me. I mean, that's the way. I mean, again, that's from a guy who's literally played 2 hours.
I think it's probably a procedural rhythm. Like, I mean, I remember. I was in a few play-by-post games, but like this one, and every once in a while, if you get in a play-by-post game, you'll play with the guy that's like, he really should be an author, but like nobody's going to buy his book. And so you write, so like, you've got these guys who will write a post, they write some kind of descriptive thing of what's going on. And then you've got like this wall of text and you're like, he did it again. He did it again. Oh my God.
Right.
And it's that kind of narration. And I think as long as you're not doing that,
right. The pace. It's the pacing.
It doesn't matter. Like you can stretch out a little bit and give me the whole description of who the Rabbit is, or the connection with this guy, or you can give me just like it's the Rabbit, he's a criminal, and then it's like up for grabs. I could turn to Johanno and say, hey, well, you've dealt with a Rabbit before. Tell me about the Rabbit. I could pass the ball to another character.
Bingo. Well, and that's how I described how I GM'd Ubiquity. I call it hot potato GMing, hot potato narration.
I remember that.
Get it and give it back. Let the players have it back, and then take it, give it almost like you're juggling narration.
Yeah.
This has a device that puts the GM in a particular role. Ubiquity, not so hard that way. But to me, really, I literally went into Ubiquity saying this has got to be a hot potato game where I'm handing it back to them and as fast as possible. And vice versa, the players hopefully.
Where the GM is supposed to, there's a mechanism for the GM to inject his own ideas because he can ask leading questions. The crates to carry are very illegal. Why is that? What? And then, you know, so he came up with the idea that the crates are illegal, and then you can respond. It's just an example, but it's allowed for the GM to put on his own stuff, right?
Right. Yeah. Fascinating.
And it's funny because in the book, it basically says, like, put them in a tough spot and then just keep pressuring them and don't necessarily, like, you know, like make it just brutal, but like keep the pressure on. And what was funny was, like, when I first read that, I'm like, well, how the hell do I do that? And then what I realized is you just keep asking questions because the players will do it. They'll do it. You just got to ask the right question, you know. And so it's like, oh my goodness. But
it makes total sense. That's the engine. The engine is the fuel, is the question, the leading questions. That's the fuel.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I probably interjected the most complications just for the hell of it through my game master character, when he just would come in and just do something completely, you know. Well, clearly he engineered the taking of another ship, you know, but it was time fictionally, you know. Are we gonna wait here for 2 months and like narrate, like, you know, how you guys like gamble all your money away, or like we, you know, like
oh yeah, when he said 2 months, I was like, nope, we have no intention of staying here 2 months.
That was handing a golden opportunity, because you guys are like, well, we should do this, and let's be really planful. Like, well, that's a boring movie, I'll tell you that.
Right.
Right.
We're going.
No, that's perfect, and I think that's exactly what you're supposed to do. Like, that's it. It says, like, when it starts to slow down, that's when you add a complication. That's when you put in a move. And like, if you think about it, that's instinctive GMing, right? Like, you would kind of do that in D&D or whatever. It's just this proceduralizes it, you know. So.
Right on. Interesting. So we'll have to do this again, and
you know. This will be one I will watch certainly back from beginning to end, because that's how I'll learn not only how I felt, what I was thinking, but this is what I'll have to watch to see how it actually came off. Normally I don't watch most of the videos straight through. I'll watch pieces of them or something, but this is what I'll see to see how that worked. Right. And then of course, if we do this again, then I'll have experience, and I'll also know kind of how that came off on the other side. The good thing about recording these games is they are tools to learn and see what we think in our head isn't always what's actually happening, right? Because especially when you inhabit a character, you know, I'm thinking like Jurgen, I have no clue how it's affecting the other players at the table often, right? So,
well, they were scared of him. That's what happened. But no, and I like it too, because I've definitely gone back, and sometimes it's painful to watch the things I do when I play or a game master. Like, oh, I need to improve that. But it's good for learning, you know. Like, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's his first time all of us playing together, and different system. I have a little bit of experience with it, but I would not, under any circumstances, consider myself like proficient at it. So you can see the choppy play as we begin counting things, and then by the end of the session, we're rolling, we're in character, we're having these conversations, the plot is moving. So
exactly. I mean, this is, again, system mastery, right? And then culture of play. You could play PBTA. We could all play this together for 6 months, and then you know, I go across the street to play with a different group of guys playing the same game, and
back to the start.
They might be shocked that you know, I've been playing it a slightly different way than they've been playing it, right? So it's,
well, I mean, Angel in our group said it like just today. I think she said she's entirely used to like playing PBTA, that the players say their move, that the game master never asks for, like, declares the movements the players all do, which is completely like the opposite from like what half the other people tell me, where it's like, oh no, you just say what you do. So I mean, it's cultural play is a big thing, you know.
It's huge. Totally.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think I was gonna say, I think so much of it is about understanding the table's play style and all that, because, you know, you get to a point where like just how far you can inject that narration and just how far you can push and when you're going to get a response back and when you're not, right? And sometimes so that can take a little while to figure that out, but that's when this game becomes beautiful. It's like once you figured out just where you can go with that, you know, and then you throw that thing out there and they pick it up and they throw it back, and then the GM is like, and here's how this is gonna suck for you. And then you're like, okay. You know, then it's like, oh yes.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that for as somebody who plays IC, that there will always be that hum that's then slowly interrupted by the pushing of the noodle. Right? But you can get used to it. You could absolutely you could learn to make the switch quickly the more disciplined you are as an in-character role player. There's nothing to stop you from doing this IC except for stepping outside your own place, right?
Yeah. At some point,
as Jurgen, I don't want to know anything about the world. I don't want to create anything about the world.
Yeah.
That this is different that way. Yeah. I mean, I want to be Viator, but then at the same time, I'm like, well, hell, what would Viator ultimately be up to? Well, that's interesting, but now I've got to create it.
Yep.
And that just seems like I'm cheating.
No, you're improv GMing, and so are each one of us.
Right. It's interesting. It's amazing. It is interesting.
I just wonder, is he going to survive the operation, or is he going to be a complete vegetable after that? Who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah.
Well, I know one thing's for certain. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, right on.
And then you can say, well, except you roll the 5.
You roll 2. Yeah.
So yes, you're blind now in the left eye.
Yes.
And you think your name is Susan, but aside from that, you're okay.
Exactly.
Perfectly fine.
Oh, nice.
Exactly.
Nice.
All righty. Well, we should probably cut this off and let.
Thank you, guys. Ivan, thanks for the invite, my friend. It's always a pleasure to play with you. And Sam, first time to play with Sam. This was great, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And of course, Eloy, we've played together, and we're going to play some more. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Right on, guys. We'll do it again.
All righty.
All righty. And we will stop the broadcast.